AskGunQuestions.com is a website that we built back in 2007, and since then, for the last 15 years, people have been able to ask questions of simple to advanced nature, and we attempt to answer them in different ways over the years. Join us now as we start a new series to answer gun questions.
And welcome everybody to our Saturday show where we answer gun questions that come into the website. But since this is the last show of the year / first show of the year, I figured we'd talk about the hiccups. We talk about the calendar. Sorry, I got the hiccups just as we started the show. So we've got Tony joining us from New Jersey. Thanks for jumping in.
Hey, what's going on? Thanks for having me.
You bet. And like I say, normally we would answer questions. We're both old and we've both been around guns for a long time and have different, opinions and different experiences with them. So usually the questions that come in are kind of general, and we answer those to offer some of the spectrum of what goes on with guns out there, and also offer maybe an alternative to some of the paid sponsorship advertising you hear all the time, which can be pretty one-sided. So with all that in mind, like I say, I've been working on the calendar, getting ready for 2024. I'll bring that up on the screen here. But to kind of, I really appreciate when you have these shows when there's people. So thanks for jumping in again, Tony, because I don't have to talk the whole time, and I can actually click on stuff while you're saying stuff. But to kind of get the grease flowing. How do you say, like, get
the wheel rolling?
Yeah, to get started here. I just dropped this on Tony that we're going to be doing 2024 calendar. So when I bring that up, what comes to mind? We kind of talked a little bit before we flipped the switch, but 2024 calendar, what's on your short list? What comes to mind?
Well, 100% trying to get the first one out of the way on the schedule. And I'm trying to be at Gun for Hire range to start off my 9th year doing diversity shoots, which is awesome. Trying to get it on the 18th. I'll see what happens because it's kind of short notice. I should have let them know last month, just so they had time to put it on their schedule because they have classes and everything else they have to get going. If not, they'd push it back to February. That's our traditional starting time for Gun for Hire range. I was just trying to squeeze one more in. Because what we're trying to do in 2024 is do 2 diversity shoots a month. And I'm working on doing 5 ranges this year. So we'll see what happens. But that's the goal. 5 ranges in the state of New Jersey, and then whatever we can fit in elsewhere.
One of these days we'll have to get together and work on the website again, kind of fluffed up for 24, and then kind of adjust to whatever the plans are. So you said 5 ranges. So that's what I was 5 different shooting ranges, 5 different indoor ranges.
Mm-hmm. 5 different indoor ranges. I already had the back contacts to one of them that the guy really wants to get it done. So seeing him, getting to him, and setting up dates later on this year. And then I have one new one that everyone suggests I go to. I'm going to try them. Like a big, you really need to get there. He really needs you down there. We need something in that area. So I'm like, okay. But, the range owner has to be in on it too. It's not just, people who are in the area and happen to go to that range. I don't know if I'm doing NRE this year because it's in Texas and just no. Because
Gun Rally, we chatted about it a little bit. It's in California, San Diego, in September. That's gonna be a tough one for you, all the way across, literally across the whole country.
Yeah, I mean, listen, if we plan it, we can do it. We fundraise for it. All that can happen. But like right now, Dallas, May 16th through the 19th. And I'm like, do I really want to be in Dallas then? And then I have to look at, isn't that Memorial Day weekend again?
I haven't done that kind of looking yet, so I'm going to scroll through. So we're looking at this on the screen here. We're looking at guncalendars.com where
Mm-mm.
I post all this stuff. And what I've done is I went and kind of looked at what happens in past years and then update that to this year. So I've got the rallies and I've got the gun laws. That's a new one. The training events and all this stuff. So I've been putting in all these events in this format, like a list format. What I haven't done is what you're saying is gone in and look at it like a calendar. So I need to zoom out
No.
actually to be able to see this. But so what I'm going to do is that was what month is that going to be? October? No.
May, and it's the weekend, the 17th through the 19th. It's not. It's Mother's Day, and then Mother's Day weekend has
Yeah, Mother's Day is the 12th. I got a thing
mm-hmm.
on here to toggle the holidays because I never had that before. I decided to add that as a thing. So, because I
And
always
then
forget. And then,
okay.
but then I was going to say, at least it's not on KD's thing then, because his is in
Mm-hmm.
the weekend
It's on.
after the 24th.
Yeah, 24th through the 26th.
So I don't know. Well, KD, I don't know who had theirs first, but who cares because they didn't overlap this time at least. But you are
Yeah,
going
no.
to.
What happened is NRA changed from April to May, and they did it on Memorial Day weekend like 2 years ago. And I'm like, if I have a choice between going to Train and Learn and NRA, I'm going to Train and Learn. I mean, for what I do and for the contacts we make, it's more conducive. All right, NRA. Yeah, I'm writing it on a friggin' what you call it, old school calendar, like we're in the 1800s.
Yeah, no, seriously. Well, one of my things I'm going to try to do is get some printable things so that you got like essentially a scheduling calendar, but then all this stuff is in there right away, so that you don't have to worry about it and it's there. But I have a lot of extra stuff on this calendar because I've got like when people were born and like when the different laws and stuff took effect. But as far as the stuff that we're talking about, like the NRA meetings are happening by themselves this year. Like you said, last year they happened on top of Train and Learn. And I don't know, April's, I guess, a pretty good time. So let's go back. Looking at it in the calendar view is kind of a pain. So that's one of the reasons I put it in this view, just because there's so much dead air, like dead, time between events. So going into Second Amendment rallies, we'll talk about that in a second. Same with some of the laws starting up. Since we're talking about training events, let's start with those. You're going to a couple of them, it sounds like. So Ambassador Academy, you're going for the first time this year?
Yeah, first time this year. It's in February.
Yeah, February 17th to the 21st, and that is a place in Florida. And Pro 3 Gunner, I think, started it, which is this WOFT. Is that what the name of it is in Florida?
Yes.
And they're it's not inexpensive. That's an expensive class to or course to learn to be an advocate and an ambassador, like it says, for the industry. So for people that are going to be professional shooters or professional spokespeople, it's at that level. And you come out with headshots and like professional photographs that are taken. So you have the experience of taking professional photographs. Some people probably haven't even had that before. And you understand, and you come out with some understanding of how to be an ambassador for a brand or for advocacy. I think the brand is the heavy emphasis, though, right? It's to be like a brand advocate.
Yeah, brand advocate, and also have the ability to pick up and know how to work with sponsors and things like that.
Yeah, take it to a professional level, right? And that's good. And then you'll be rubbing elbows with those types of people ambitious in those directions also.
It's the same. It seems to be some of the same thing as what KD does down at Train and Learn, just with a different group of people. More industry, same thing.
I get people that are going to be like professional shooters and want to have, some team be on team something or another, or have some brand of ammo or some brand of optics sponsoring them, and how to do that professionally.
Yeah, I mean, truthfully, I mean, I guess best way to say it is both of them are professional development workshops for this industry, and I think they're worth promoting. And because where else do you learn it? A lot of this stuff is what you're just going to pick up on it. You
Well,
don't
then
have
we're
to
at the
make every
mercy
mistake.
of people that are either inherently lucky or able, like somehow all the things lined up for them and they just somehow lucked into doing everything right. But most people need to learn from experience. So then you're, uh, like I say, then we'd be stuck with people that have endured through a lot so that they got experience and learned how to figure it out, to be industry advocates, or people that were lucky, like just happened to pick the right choices right from the bat, in which case they're probably pretty bad because when you luck into everything, you really are kind of oblivious, right? You never made any choices. You just made single decisions, but you never decided one way or the other, right? I don't know if I'm saying that right, but in this case, we're talking about people who have ambitions and goals and want to achieve those through improving their skill set and their knowledge. And yeah, to have professional level classes like this, I'm sure other industries have them, but to see something like this for the firearms industry is cool. But what I like about it is, since Diana Mueller's involved, it's got an emphasis, or at least a portion of it that I don't really know if it's an emphasis, but it's a portion of it that's advocacy, so that you're going to become competent to some extent with being an advocate for the rights as well as the brand or whatever, right? Like just the surface stuff. You're going to be, it goes deeper than that, or at least there's that aspect to it or that layer to it. But
That's the way I that's the way I look at it. Yeah, go ahead.
but it's like $3,000, so it's at a
Hmm.
different level than other options that are out there. And it's not a participatory thing. Like we'll talk about train and learn here in about a second, but train and learn is similar, only but really different because KD brings both sides. He'll invite manufacturers and such to show up so that the industry is involved instead of just a bunch of creators talking about how to talk to the industry. The industries they're learning from creators to understand what their realistic expectations from a creator, for example, and to understand. Anyway. So I think there's, well, let's jump to a girl and a gun next, so we don't start just talking about KD. So I'm doing them chronologically here. The next thing that'll happen is in April. Girl and a Gun conference happens. It's pretty much been happening in Colorado, and it sounds like it's, from talking to people, it happens in the Colorado cameo shooting complex because it's the only thing that can handle the scale of the event. So this year it should be 1,000 ladies. They've already sold out, so it'll be 1,000 ladies this year, or 2024. Pretty neat. I think it came up from 700 pretty rapidly from like 300 a few years back. So this is a girl and a gun is a couple of ladies. What's the story with girl and a gun? They were looking for something to do with firearms and met up with each other and started. I think it was
Robin Sandoval, right?
right, but I think she decided to do it on her own and then met up with other ladies. I get it confused with the other one because the other one
Shoot like a
was
girl.
right, exactly, because they started by wanting to go hunting. So that's how I differentiate them. At least the girl, that one, Shoot Like a Girl, was all the guys are going hunting, let's go hunting, and Girl and a Gun was all the guys are going to the shooting range, let's go to the shooting range. And it's developed into a female version of gun club, I guess, and it's what's the word, franchise the concept out to multiple. I think there's definitely a chapter in each state, but there's really more than one in each state at this point. So it's like a club for girls to help get acclimated, but then
Hmm.
also somebody to shoot with, just friendship type of thing, camaraderie. But they also have their own training and familiarization type of stuff. And the training event, the conference, started out being, I don't know, I think it actually started out having an emphasis, or at least, again, a focus on advocacy work, because the new breed, this is since 2015, this is the new breed of advocacy. Instead of being state level or I'm going to call it area of interest with some of the old groups started from like trap hunting, like, you know, setting traps was getting attacked. Like that's where NSSF comes from. People who were trapping animals were getting abused because traps are kind of a bullshit thing. If you just leave them out and people get stepped in them or whatever, you know, traps are kind of, you can use them poorly. And then everybody who traps gets a bad rap. Plus, it's kind of weak to just set out traps, and you know, anyway, it's hard to defend sometimes. So, trapping gets a black eye, and hunters that don't trap have no interest in it. So, trappers are usually out by themselves. You know, so there was a law against trappers that was trying to happen, and when they successfully resisted that, they were petitioned to help with some other stuff. At least that's how I understand it. And then that eventually turned into NSSF. So a lot of these organizations kind of start out from like, we all care about this or we all care about that, like our rights are being attacked about this or something, which is fine. I mean, in other words, they've been reactions to situations out there, usually somebody trying to attack our rights or our property. So the groups that we've had, like, think about it, the NRA was for marksmanship, but the Gun Owners of America, Second Amendment Foundation, those are all defense of liberty, defense of our rights. And then you get to 2015 and it's not, they're trying to take my property more than it's like more, I want to be included also, or hey, what about us, or like, let's help these people or something like that. It's more areas, not less areas of interest, and more communities, smaller communities. So the Girl and a Gun was a community of like a bunch of ladies. Because I call bullshit anytime somebody says ladies can't go to a gun shop. I worked at a gun shop for 17 years. There's nobody going to tell us that we would scare ladies or send them out. You know, and we're one of 16 gun shops in Tucson. Sure, there might be a couple in Tucson that there was a-holes working at, but you can't go to one gun shop and say all gun shops are this way. If you went to all 16 gun shops in Tucson, I guarantee you some lady found exactly what she was looking for with the customer service and with what she was looking for. But I know every town's not like that, and there's this perception out there that ladies can't get a fair thing if they go to a gun shop. Again, I'll call bullshit on that, but it is. I'm not going to tell people their experiences didn't happen. So anyway, there's this idea that ladies can't go into a gun shop or go to the range, and if they feel more comfortable with other ladies, I don't care. If left-handed people or people that shoot 9mm or people that shoot 10mm or people that like to shoot weird carbines, people that like to shoot bullpups, maybe if they all want to get together, who gives a shit? Who gives a crap, right? Let people get together. So that's what Girl and a Gun started with, as a I understand, and it was just a successful recipe. Let's get ladies together and shoot in a comfortable situation. Get just like what diversity shoot does, from what I understand. Like, brings people to a range, and you find out, oh, the range isn't as scary once you understand it. Once you've been here 6 times, it's just like going to the gas station. It's unfamiliar at first, but like anything, once you become familiar, it becomes less interesting and less of a concern, right? You start worrying about what you're doing instead of where you're going to do it, or whatever this. I can't imagine all the issues that ladies have, but that helps them. Whatever, if that helps you on ramp, whatever word is, on board into Firearms, awesome. But it's from what I guess I'm getting sidetracked here. The conference started out with training to train the people and to create consistency amongst the various groups out there, I suspect. But again, advocacy is a portion of it, and now it's 1,000 ladies. So that's not like 1,000 ladies is everybody in a Girl and a Gun. They're one of the largest organizations out there in guns right now. So those 1,000 ladies are like the heads of groups and like the instructors in the group. So these are like the core that go out and disseminate information that they learn each year, and that thrill and that interest and that drive, right? That ambition. What's the word? Like that, whatever, that vibe, I guess the kids would say, gets distributed that way, right? No cap.
No cap. Straight fire. They have different chapters, and I think they call the head of the chapter like a chapter coordinator or something like that. But they have lots of the chapter facilitators. That's the word they use. And I've worked with right now 2, one in Jersey, one in PA, and just awesome women, dude. And of course, Robin Sandoval is a friend of mine who's awesome and a wonderful person, and she's one of the founders of Girl and a Gun. And so they get things done, man. I'm really proud to be associated with them in any way, and the fact that they've helped me with my diversity shoots is awesome.
Very much so. And I think that's the neat thing that we've got potential. One of the reasons I'm so enthusiastic about where we're at, because the people that look at this as some sort of checker game where all the pieces are the same and we have this many pieces and blah, 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 they play checkers. One of the reasons you simply, you make fun, that's what's demeaning to say you're a checker player is because it's a simple game with just, two sides, when in reality, there's two sides, I guess, but there's much more complexity to it. And when we have a bunch of these groups that, again, a bunch of groups came up from the 2015 era, let's call it, the reaction to Obama's executive actions, essentially, a lot of people came into guns since 2000 and what is it, 14? Wait, 2004, excuse me. And if you came into your adult life into guns in 2004, after the assault weapons ban, you felt entitled, right? You assumed that you could own any magazine capacity. And again, in the states, the few states that are restricted since the assault weapons ban, I'm sorry, I have to move past you, but, not majority of the states, people that grew up with guns, they expect to have whatever magazine capacity they want, whatever stock, pretty much everything except for NFA. And it was like that for 2 decades until Obama not 2 decades, but a decade and a half until Obama said, you know what, I'm going to use executive actions and let's bring gun control back. And then there was a resistance to that. And Obama wasn't able to do much anything except sell guns. And what happened was the people that were not new to communicating with each other, but getting really familiar with the internet, I think that's palatable. We all have the same foundational, whatever, feelings about freedom and whatnot, individual freedom for sure. And that's why these organizations sprouted up in 15, is I think there was this immediate grassroots resistance to this, I keep saying Obama, he's just the voice for, the antis, whatever his name is, Bloomberg and the rest that really instigate this shit. But, Obama was the one that got up and said it, so he gets to take the heat. But essentially this like renewed interest in going after our property and our rights to divide the country on this concept of guns. Well, that ended really fast through this grassroots momentum, and nobody started it. It wasn't like Rush Limbaugh started the call and everyone answered. It wasn't like any politician said no and everybody said yeah, but he said this was, everybody was standing firm. And it was just, it's like it's got to be like being in a crowd at an auditorium of a concert or a sporting event where everybody's just locked in and you got that vibe. What do you call that? Like that just knowledge that everyone's on the same page. And that's what it was like in 13. And at the end of 13, that's why we started Every Second Matters. That was our outcry to go, don't let this end. This has to stay around. And I think what happened was it did end, just, you can't keep that kind of, it's not artificial, but it was like created by an impetus, right? It was created as a resistance to tyranny. So when that tyranny was gone, everyone kind of sighed relief. And I think that's what I'm talking for you, but I think you and a lot of people who started things in 2015 were frustrated by the loss of that or the lack of that. And you knew it was there because we just seen it. It was palatable, like it was there. And it wasn't like you could point to one political party or one opinion or nothing. It was just everyone had this. It was the same as after 9/11, right? Everyone was like, fuck this. And we didn't have to say like, hey, what team do you support? We all were on the same team at that point. So it was that kind of thing. And I think that one of the reasons these groups existed is because of that. And because of that, the reasons the groups, what am I saying? Because the reason the groups existed, they built themselves in ways that weren't built, let's say, emulating the NRA, where, hey, we're going to build a top-down structure and everyone's going to listen to us. Or we're right and everybody else is wrong and we're going to do it this way. They did it in a very open way. And I think that's where we're super strong. We've got all these organizations. Some of you like each other, some of you don't. Some of them work brother and sister together and some of them never touch each other. But that gives us a, what do you call that? It's like fiberglass. It gives us a strength that you could never get with just plain wood.
Yeah, Amanda Suffolk says it in a funny way. She says it's like the Olympic rings. Some overlap and some don't touch at all, but we're all in the same fight.
Right.
And it's true. It's true. Like, I try to work with everyone because I was talking to a guy who doesn't understand the concept of what I do. He's really supportive of me as an idea. And whenever we meet, he comes like, hey, you ever think about having a membership? No, I don't need a membership. Once I establish a membership, someone is going to see me as competition. I'm like, I don't need a membership. Come to my events. If you have something with a membership and you're actually doing work, I'll introduce you at my events. You are not my competition. It's like if you're actually doing work, I want you at my thing. And I'm not trying to get money out of anybody just for existing. If someone wants to donate, cool. But that's not why I'm here. It's like, let's do this. So
Well, memberships, I think of it more as like a subscription. They can offer an ongoing financial support as capitalists so that you can make different decisions based on a knowledge that there's going to be financial support to do it. So I'm hopefully going to change Tony's mind on that one. But so we were talking about Girl and a Gun. We got sidetracked. That's going to happen. I'm going to take a second to say hey to the people joining us today, though. I don't know if I even did that at all. Woods was the first one to say hey. 500 Magnum also out there. I am starring some of the questions and stuff people have brought up. Joining us live today. Mike White out there. Hello. Thanks for jumping in. Richard. Been a long time. You know Richard? Question mark? You know Richard?
Richard, defense that?
Well, he used to be from England. I think he moved here. Maybe he's still in England. He comes here on the regular. He's been around for a long, long time. Don't see him every day, though, so welcome. I didn't know if you had crossed paths with him or not. He's been on lots of different people's podcasts and stuff. What else am I missing? Gunmetal Guy, welcome. Still one of the only people joining me in the middle of the night. I'm not saying I fell asleep because of Gizzard Show. I'm just saying I fell asleep during Gizzard Show. So I did my show at like 2 a.m. instead of the normal time. Like 2 a.m. for me. So it's probably like 4 a.m. for the rest of the world. We got some questions starred here. And then Tony's out there pulling double duty, as some would say. Defense Dad saying hey. Tony does know you, so you know who we're talking about.
Oh,
Richard from England.
yeah.
He's always posting.
Yeah, actually, yeah, we've met.
I thought so. I didn't know for sure, but I thought I'd seen.
Well,
something.
I didn't see his picture until you pulled it up.
Okay. You got dog bite.
Yeah, it was awesome.
Does Clover hate? Great question. Does Clover hate guns now? Where's he at? I don't know what's going on. I give him a link every week. He hates live chats.
Understand, Clover will be back. Christmas season just ended, and he had to do the double duty at Santa's workshop.
That's true. Okay, so we've been chatting about Girl and a Gun. Said hey to everybody again. If you're out there live, we don't know unless you say hey. If you're listening in the future, most people listen to this as a podcast. You can contact either Tony or I. There's Mike White. You can contact either Tony or I, through Instagram or wherever. And both of us are still small enough that we will answer questions and stuff for free most of the time. Next up is the mingle. We don't get invited to that, but I always like to include it because I see that in my understanding as one of the things that got the wheel. We're at a pretty good pace right now. We have a lot of organizations that just do great advocacy work, and that didn't just always happen. That was something that started, and one of the things that got it started was the mingle, at least in my opinion. And this is the Complete Combatant, Shelly, I think. And I've never met her, but from what I understand, she was at SHOT Show in like 16 or 17 and was hanging out with Cheryl Todd. And of course, you hang out with Cheryl Todd long enough, you realize that, people can do things and you can do it too. And she got the idea to get females in the industry together. So it wasn't so much advocacy as industry, but this was before advocacy was a cool thing to do. And so she brought ladies from the industry together to Georgia for some time, a day or two or whatever it is, 3 days, I forget. I've never been invited. I'm not a lady in the industry. But I just like that it happens, and I like to promote it. I'm pretty sure you have to be invited, and it gets sold out pretty quick. It's not huge. It's just an opportunity for ladies to get to know each other, and to, it's always good for people to meet people in the industry. So people that create opportunities for that, it's what makes it happen. So speaking of ways people who create opportunities for people in the industry to meet, now let's talk about train and learn. I think and I don't get paid or nothing, and I've never even been to it. But I think this is probably the best. Well, it's the best thing that happens each year, but it's probably one of the best things that we've had happen in a long time too. Just the community, the realm, the industry, whatever. I'd like to see it get franchised and bigger. I don't know if Katie has that ambition or not, but I'll let, since Tony's been to more than one, I'll shut up and let you talk about it. It sounds like you're going again this year.
Yeah, it's going to be in Georgia this year, not in St. Louis. So we're actually going to be at Greenwood, his range, his setup. So I can't wait for that. He brings together not only industry but people, and he tries to create almost a family-like environment. Now, there are some people that have gone there and not picked up on it, but the people that take what they learn and take the collaboration seriously and lock in, they've grown. I mean, one is Boomstick Babe, and Alicia's all over. Alicia's all over the place now. She's suing the state of Colorado. She goes to different events, and she's putting together a women's shoot sometime during this year. Maybe just a women's day at the range, just nationwide. She asked me to reach out to a couple of people um, so they can actually do a women's shooting event across the country. People do things that go to that. You got Justin from Phoenix Ammo. You have Primary Arms. Justin was there and I interviewed him. You have guys from James Yeager School, Tactical Response. They're there teaching classes. USCCA was there this year. USCCA was teaching actually a tourniquet, stop the bleed kind of class where we got to work with some new equipment and their head of medical. So there's a lot there to learn, and you get in what you put in, you get out what you put in, and the cost is like a tenth of the cost of going to Ambassador Academy. So my whole thing is I feel blessed to be able to go to both in 1 year, but again, you get out what you put in. Train and Learn really promotes camaraderie and working together. Just they set aside like an entire day for content creators to actually work together and work with the industry to create content and future collaborations. Like nothing stopping you from working together, being on each other's shows. And the people that have taken advantage of that has met with a lot of success. So that's why I enjoy Train and Learn and espouse it everywhere I go and tell people to join, sign up as soon as possible. And as closer it comes, the alumni start, promoting it. And then it's those people that sit on the outside and wait for things to happen and, oh, I want to go and sign up. Oh, it's too late. You had a year. Like they make it available immediately after the first one so you can sign up again. Like immediately.
You get a discount for going after year?
Yeah, if you get a discount for being an alumni. Like if you went to 1 year, they give you a discount. And I think that's the first opening. They open it up for alumni for like a 1 or 2 week period after you get home. And they also have it set up for payment plans. So it's not as if, because it's a lot of money. You fly down. I mean, if you pay for everything at once, it could be a lot of money. But if they break it down into payments, you can actually go, hey, I'm signing up and here's my $80. And you just pay 4 times and you got it.
So unlike other shows or other websites even, where people who are doing stuff, you can't get a hold of them to say nothing. We're just going to edit the website right now because Defense Dad is telling us that Thunder on the Prairie 2024, I guess I should change that to 2024 already, will be the first weekend in June. So if I got to go in here and get down to June. So the first weekend is the 1st and 2nd. So June 1 through 2. Right on. So we just got updated on that. So that's good. Thanks for that. It'll go out on all the... I've only made a couple of like images from the data. And right now they just said June, and I knew it was beginning of June or something, so I had you as the top of June, but now it'll all be accurate. Thanks for the info. So talking about train and learn though, I wanted to go through and just do a little bit of I don't know what to call it, observation, I guess I'll call it. So I've been watching since KD started it. First, he doesn't say, is it the fifth, sixth?
What's that?
Which
Blah, blah, blah. 1, 2, 3, 5?
I think it's fifth. So
5. Yeah, 5.
does it make sense that he started it in 2019?
Yep, 2019. This would be the 5th year. 1 year didn't happen. COVID.
So okay, so that's the only thing that right off the bat, like fifth annual would be cool. But otherwise, it started out whatever with I'm just gonna say like he went to some Eventbrite type of thing and did like a website based, over there on the Eventbrite place or whatever. It wasn't his website. It was like the whatever, he was restrained or confined by the formatting and the whatever changes he could make on the site where the ordering was taking place, so like you could buy tickets or whatever. So he was restricted, in other words. But it was sort of crude, let's put it that way. And as far as the website and everything, now though, let's take a look at it. So first off, you get a good image, and it's KD, so you know who it is. But then it's got the train and learn logo, which changes each year. Puts the location and the dates right in the logo, which is handy, especially when you're posting that logo around. It gets all the information around. Quick kind of couple of pictures to give you an idea. That summarizes kind of what Tony was just talking about. There's a paragraph here to give you some info about it. Now you know where it is with the real map. Then more information for anybody that really wants it, because that's what you came here for. Then pictures or whatever. And as you scroll down, it says, so you figure you're going, here's what you need. And he simplifies it down to essentially the basics. He's not going to talk about like the stuff you need to travel. You're an adult, so you know what like travel necessities you need. But as far as like implements and the stuff you need for the event, they talk about what you're going to need. And it does neat to say that first off, he only wants 223s there, or 556s. He only wants that caliber, which is interesting, because sometimes people don't care, and I think that's neat that he's willing to say, here you go, bring this caliber. I'm hoping that's because you get ammo or something, but I could see like 10 different reasons why you'd want to have consistency with the caliber for stuff. But then it says if you can't deal with that, then just show up and the sponsors will make sure that you got a rifle. So that's super cool, because honestly, traveling with a rifle can be a pain in the ass. Or, if you got a bunch of AKs, for example, or a bunch of bolt actions, or just no rifles, right? Or if you live somewhere where rifles aren't a thing, you hunt with shotguns or something. For whatever reason, you don't have rifles. That's cool. So anyway, that, and then, just breaks it down what you're going to need. And then talks about the sponsors and stuff. You had mentioned some of the people that made the thing possible or what. But I just think it was the evolution of the site is worth mentioning, and the I don't know, call it like the presentation, or just what do you call the digital side of it is evolved as well, and really tight. There's a good case study in how to, if you're going to emulate something, you're going to copy something for whatever, an event or for any project. Pretty good website. All right, so we're not getting paid. I'm not getting paid, so we're going to keep going. Actually, Train and Learn they got me to SHOT Show, helped me to get to SHOT Show in 20, the year I went around with the book. Wait, 20 didn't happen, so it would have been 21? No. What year
19 and...
Whatever year I went around with the book. KD helped me get to SHOT Show, so I should
20. Yep, 20 happened.
By Train and Learn. But I mean, obviously, I don't give a shit. There was some money, so I appreciate it, and it was definitely money when I needed it, for damn sure. I wouldn't have got to SHOT Show that year. But again, I would be chatting up Train and Learn, because I do think it's the best, what we need, and I see why he does it the scale he does, because you can't really, the best things can't, you can't make handmade and then make it in a factory. It doesn't work. It's then all of a sudden it's just like handmade, right? But I don't know. I'm just always like more and more and more. So maybe just don't do anything else and do that 6 times a year or something. I don't know. I don't know how to do that.
Yeah, but I mean, he limits it to 60, and I think that's great. Um, I may be being greedy, but I try to go every year, and he wants it to spread out to more people. Last year we had more new people than ever, and I thought it was awesome. It sounds funny. Yeah, we need more new people to come, and some of the alumni, to take a break. I'm not going to be one of them, but other alumni can take a break and not come every year. But I mean, I totally get it, and I mean, it is a family thing. It really feels like it, and I missed 1 year because I had a lot going on, and I couldn't make it, and it sucked because you see all your friends there. And again, it's the people that do things. Others drop right off, can't make it, have other commitments. But you have an opportunity to hook up with 58 people that you don't know, 59 people you don't know, and can turn it into something. Like, not only could you're encouraged to. And I think that's what's a little different than going to bigger things. Oh, and by the way, I got more of a date the last weekend in July for Rick Ector. It's always going to be the last weekend in July.
That's what I kind of figured, but I didn't want to assume. And I tell you what, I could not find it anywhere. So
I looked up last year's date, and I know we'd been on like 3 shows in the lead up this year to it. We've been on 3 different shows together, and that's what he stressed each time.
That's good to know. I assumed, but what happens when you assume shit.
Yep.
So that I just 28 and 29, I'm pretty sure.
Watch this, you'll be the first one. For the first time, we're doing it in the first week of July. Thanks, Rick.
Well, the nice thing about making it websites is it's only as permanent as until I go, edit it or whatever.
Yeah.
Problem is that if you forget to edit it, you've got bad info out there. So I put
Yeah,
it
but
27 and 28 is what I should have it up as.
Yeah,
He
stresses it. What was that?
But thanks for that. I do want to have as many of them as possible, and that's a good one too. Okay, so that was the next one we were going to talk about. So KD does his event. I'm calling that, I didn't know what to call it, industry event, but it is training. And he emphasizes that it's different than the last one we'll talk about, AmCon, because there's shooting in it. Now, Girl in a Gun has shooting, for sure. Ambassador Academy, do they even want a gun there? Do they shoot guns there?
Yeah, they shoot guns there. They also have not live fire training, sims.
Yeah, I'm sure, but that's the thing. They have like training rooms. You learn how to like go around, and I'm assuming because people concept of how to hold a reel when there's other people you can do things with your gun. Maybe at best they have some understanding how to carry a gun for, but
you're breaking up. You're breaking up. I don't know if it's me or you. Yeah, they have the gun range there because I remember the big news. Because Maj, one of the first pictures you ever see of Maj actually shooting a gun in public was at Ambassador Academy when he went. He went through with Rhonda Mary at the same time as Rhonda Mary. So I don't know which one of us is not being heard right now.
Me. I don't know if you can hear me, but it's my internet's crappy. I'm shutting down stuff to see if it helps, but I don't know.
I was about to start vamping. Because I didn't know whether it was dead air or not. Yeah. So definitely they have guns there. Hopefully some of the stuff I'm doing works out and I can bring some interested firearms down there because they also do the photo shoots down there. Now, I don't know if, dang, his name starts with an O. Is it Omar? Oh. He does. He's out of Tennessee, but he has an accent. He's from Europe. Yeah, I'm sorry, I forgot his name, and I feel like a jerk. Anyway, I know they do photos down there, and it's kind of cool that you can bring your gun. Like, I have the bullpup high point that I take a lot of pictures of. I have my 686 that's polished and with the gold trigger. And those are some of the things that if I'm going to have a firearm that's associated with 2A4E, those are kind of the unique things that you can check out and see. And I'd like, if I'm going to start doing some promotional pictures or have professional pictures taken, it looks kind of cooler than just sitting there with a Glock 19. It's more eye catching. So I'm going to probably bring those down to it, to the event. Oleg, that's his name. Oleg. He does photos. I can't think of the name of his company, but he works
Oleg
on.
Volt?
Yeah, there you go.
Oh, dude, I had no idea. I would go there just to hang out with Oleg. So, I think I'm back now, right?
Yep, you're back.
Okay. Yeah, I think it's just bad internet. I'm blaming the dog, and I'm not blaming Gizzard's modem that he gave me for free, but he gave me a modem for free, and I did have bad internet right now. But all right, you've been talking about Ambassador Academy and shooting at Ambassador Academy. I guess I was saying though that and thanks for that, because I didn't actually know some of that most of that what you were talking about right now. I don't know if we should go on tangents. Where are you at today with time? We're already at 46 minutes, but there's a couple of tangents.
Wow. Yeah, go ahead. Let's rock and roll, man.
You talked about doing more than just sims down there, and I guess I was thinking that, yeah, it was a lot of posing and like how to be familiar with a firearm type of more than orientation, but like orientation for people who are familiar already but want to know like the way the pros do it, or to look cool or look savvy as opposed to looking awkward, right? Or unintentionally looking awkward. I thought it was more of that kind of gun stuff, but is it more of how to shoot better at a competition type of training?
No, I don't think so. Even though some of the ladies I know were competition shooters.
Because that's what I said. I know a lot of competition shooters go there, so I didn't know if maybe that was an element.
Yeah, I don't know, because I know Maj is not a competition shooter, but understand that some of the competition shooting stuff that we all talk about is just shooting accurately faster. So it's kind of an overlap.
Useful, yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
But again, so, I assumed that it was more of had more just different focus, I guess. And then Girl in a Gun is shooting, because I think they actually do quite a bit of like instructor, and CCW and other kind of they're up training instructors. So it's definitely a focus on training. The Mingle is held by instructors, but I don't really think it has actually, what am I saying? I think that it now has become a focus on training, but since I don't get invited and I only kind of watch them talk about it, from the public conversations, I'm just guessing. But so the Mingle probably has some amount. Train and Learn, though, I guess what I was getting at is like intentionally KD brought trainers together and industry and media together so that they'd all get each other's peanut butter and each other's chocolate, so that they would learn from each other and not just, hey, meet each other, shake hands, and you do your thing in front of me and I'll do my thing in front of you. But also a little bit of like, here's how I do what I do, and here's how you do what you do. Even if you don't go to do what the other person's doing, you've stood in their shoes. You understand what they're going through, and you know how to better work with them. And I think that part of KD's thing is unique. And I guess I think what I was trying to go to, that's what I was trying to get at before when I started to break up there. But now let's go on to Rick's thing. I know that it's the 13th because he makes a good. Rick is probably, if not the best, one of the top 3 for sure for me, as far as people who are using the internet the right way. Like Rick is out there constantly doing stuff and exploring things and meeting people and jumping into stuff. And not just doing it, but doing it like effectively, like usefully, if that's the right way to say it. And this is one of those indications that he's letting people know it's the 13th annual. So you just told me it's the last weekend in July all the time, or confirmed, I
Mhm.
guess. But have you been to it yet?
No, couldn't make it this year. It really
You've
sucked.
been invited, so you could take over on
Yeah.
this one and talk about this one then.
So it's training ladies for free in CCW in Detroit. So legally armed in Detroit. So um, he has it set up two different ranges over 2 days. And he has a list of instructors. You go there. The instructors get instruction, tell you how everything is going to break down, and then you go to the range and you wait as the ladies are going through classes. The instructors are on the ranges doing their thing, talking to each other, getting in that headspace, and then the ladies just start coming in shifts, and you start going through your thing, teaching them how to put rounds on target and doing that, and it's just one after the other, almost like whew, a factory. Like, because the thing is to get all these ladies trained up, pulling triggers with an instructor, and also breaking that ice because it's all free to them. But what it does is break that ice. It allows the girlfriends to come out. It allows them to do their thing. Now, what I was trying to do and might still do because we actually talked about it, let's see what happens, is try to get a diversity shoot going the day before or the day after. Reason being, I think it makes sense. This is a ladies only event. They're going to be excited about it going into it. They're going to be talking about it coming out of it. If I could have a diversity shoot the next day, would be awesome, but it would be on a Monday. And, a lot of the instructors can't be there, but I'm figuring at least one of the ranges might be able to do one more day of having something like that. So that's the calendar. That's one of the things that if it doesn't get done this year is fine, but I think it needs to get done one year is to tack it on the end, get some instructors and run a diversity shoot like we do it
Well,
with food and everything.
here's what I'm going to say. Here's my mansplaining way of saying it. I'm going to say do it on a Thursday like you normally do after.
Mm-hmm.
So it happens on Saturday. Rick's thing happens on Saturday, Sunday. You do
Uh-huh.
your thing on Thursday. But the thing is, I know Antonia does a thing with GOA now, right then, like right after. So I don't know if they do theirs, and theirs is a paid $25 thing. Um, so uh, somehow do yours so that if theirs is the next weekend, then you do yours right before it. So that, like you say, theirs is another thing that's so that they can ride this is what, we bring girls together, girls only type of thing. But what you're saying, either, well, it essentially, what's the word? It not amplifies, but it gives, enhances. That's what I'm looking for. It enhances both, because, like you just said, like the girls are going, and Rick's created an atmosphere where the girls go the first year, and then they want to bring their friends the next year, and then it becomes a let's go again and let's bring more ladies and more friends. So they're going, but they're not able to really bring the dudes. Some of them might not want to or have dues,
Mm-hmm.
but those that do, they might be like, oh yeah, oh, now we can go to this thing on Thursday where everybody can go. So it might be one of the biggest ones you have, because you've got all that enthusiasm and that interest, and either budding interest or renewed interest. I think that'd be cool. Anyway, I'm thinking the Thursday like you normally do, because then I was thinking then you got a week to fart around in Detroit. I don't know if you've got any interest in doing that, but as weird
Oh
as it
no.
is, Detroit is okay. It's not that horrible.
No, I have no interest in hanging out in Detroit for a week. My whole thing is to be there. We'll see. I think it's a great thing. We'll see what happens because I like the idea of it. I don't know if a lot of the things we do, I mean, unless you plan it down to the nth degree, it is let's see how this thing works out because it's new. It's new and you expect some swings and misses and some hits. Never let that be now I'm talking to myself. Never let fear of failure be something that stops you from doing it. Meanwhile, that's one of the things that messes me up about starting a whole charitable thing, but that's over with now.
All right. Well, then the last thing that I've got under the training section here is AmCon, and I guess I'm assuming because with Paul doing his thing, I'm not sure, but assuming that he still does AmCon, and
Mhm.
knowing that gun rights policy will be in San Diego in September, then AmCon happens the day before, so that would be the 27th, and that's I don't know, I should have put it in here. 7 6 8 17 18 18 I think it started. So whatever that is, they took a year off also. um Wait, did Katie start in 18?
19.
So
KD started in 19.
well, no, 18 would have been, so they must have started in 17 in Dallas. So whatever the math is, I don't really care. So they're
Mhm.
in whatever year they are. Assuming they keep doing it, that'll happen on the 27th. But essentially, that is bring the people who are the media people that are there for Gun Rights Policy Conference together on Friday,
Mhm.
reintroduce them to each other, and reintroduce them to each other. Then we've got the community events. I always like to include Dragon Man, a treasured resource. We live in a time where Dragon Man exists. There's going to be a future where people are like, Dragon Man was the first of the free, truly free, amazing people in the United States. Never since maybe Buffalo Bill. No. Wow. Who's the Wild West guy? Is that Buffalo Bill?
Yep. Mhm.
Maybe that guy. I have no idea. I'm not really a big fan of that guy, but he did take the Western culture to the entire world by being mean to animals and, being mean to people and stuff. But at the same time, he also brought our culture, that 140 years of a war with the indigenous people here, um, to the rest of the world, so they can either dig it or hate us for it. But I mean, it's been a long time. I can't anybody else. J.M. Davis is actually running in his hotel. I don't know how big of a spectacle it was, or if it was like an thing. I wasn't alive then, but he has the gun collection, and he had a hotel on Route 60. That's it. The attraction was that he had guns all over the place. So maybe him, but he have a range. He wasn't full auto shoots. It's not Dragon Man. He doesn't have a museum that all live stuff. Every museum you go to, they drill holes, they destroy that stuff time. Destroyed that stuff, or they got it from police who destroyed it. And now you can look at that gun on the wall. Dragon Man owns all that stuff. You can take it all out and shoot it. No, you can't. Again, it's all guns, and it's amazing. He's got some of the amazing. Am I breaking up this whole time?
Yeah, a little bit you breaking up, but we can still follow you.
Okay. So anyway, I always like to include him. He opens up in April through November. Uh, if you've got, I'm not going to say you're bad parents if you don't bring your kids to Dragon Man's, but you know what I'm saying? Like, there's Disneyland. I don't know what that costs. There's SeaWorld, which is mean to fish. So I don't know what that costs. What other stuff is there for kids these days? Maybe some kind of like Lego place, or there's maybe a video game land. I don't know what those places cost, but Dragon Man's is Dragon Man's. And I've been there a handful of times now, and I can't tell you how amazing it is. He doesn't pay me a dime to say that. It's just you live in a time where there's Dragon Man. We're not always going to be able to say that. Then there's the NRA annual meetings, and Dragon Man's is all year, so you can just go there any Saturday and go to the museum and just go there anytime and just experience Dragon Man's place. Anyhow, then you got the NRA thing in May. Did you say you are going this year or you're not?
I just put it on schedule. I don't plan on going.
I haven't been in a long time. I got Ted Nugent was really mean to me at the last one. No, at the one I went to in 2009, and then in 2010 it cost me like three grand to go to NRA, and I'm cheap. That cost me a lot of money. And we went to NRA. We had a good time, but what happened was, here I'm gonna take a second. I don't know if I've ever explained this. We went to NRA 2010, and it cost a lot of money. It was the first time I did sponsorship because it cost me more money than I had. I wasn't making money on YouTube at that time the way I was later. So I wanted to go because we had gone and thought it was a good idea. And we had when we say guys and girls at gun websites, we have girls over the years. The first girl the second girl that was really part of the team, one of the wives, was kind of interested in becoming a journalist, let's say. So went to NRA and hooked up with, I'm just going to say, an organization that was focused on women's news, women's and focused on news, let's put it that way. And they were just jerks to her. Like they were mean. So we to go very poorly. So it's not the first of the times that in the industry, the community or whatever, for reasons, and leaves a scar, that taste in your mouth or whatever. And part of, it's the NRA, and what we wanted out of it was to go. Actually, there's a couple of things that was one of the times when, on a completely different subject, but at that same show. Is it still breaking up?
Yeah, it did. It keeps going, but I think you can follow the story if you look. I have been.
Okay. So in 2000, I'll just go slow. Maybe that'll help. In 2010, NRA, the first NRA show that I went to was in 9 out here in Phoenix, and no one was at it, just me. And I was like, wow, this is neat. And that was just when video was coming into the thing. And YouTube was already there, but we were becoming a YouTube community. So in 2010, it was in North Carolina, which is right in the middle of every YouTuber, essentially. All these back east YouTubers that are so big. So at the time, we all talked to each other. And I said, hey, let's all go to NRA show together. And every fucking single one of them said, oh, no, I'm too busy. I'm too busy. I've got work. I'm too fucking busy. Who all went to it? Every fucking one of them went to it. And they all came out of it starting to get richer and richer. So that's when I discovered that the YouTubers, the people that I have no fucking ever talk about because they're dicks, that's when I figured out they're all dicks. So they all are there for the money. They're there for the bullshit, like let's act like we're something that we ain't. At the time, they were definitely acting like they're something like they ain't. But that's where that NRA show cost a lot. We got treated personally like dicks, or treated poorly by the people that we were there to work with. And then a bunch of people who said they were too busy to hook up and meet showed up and did their thing individually. Like they all, and they didn't go there to make money, but they all ended up going there and went, oh, there's money to be made. But instead of going there together and saying, hey, we can go there and change this place, they all went there and just became individuals. Anyway, it changed the playing field. There's a hope we can get into that now that I'm thinking about it. That's actually pretty interesting. But without becoming therapy for me here, that NRA show 2010 hurt. It hurt me. So I haven't had any interest in going back to an NRA. Now, if it went to Phoenix, I'd go. But I'm not traveling to an NRA show. I like the NRA and everything, but I'm not, all these people that are like, I hate the NRA, watch it burn. Like, let's hang out with Bloomberg. I mean, let's not even get paid by Bloomberg. Let's just watch it burn, right? All these freaking people that hate the NRA so much, where are they? Run into the NRA show every year. Flock into the NRA show because it's their like little free shot show. I'm talking about the content creators that talk shit constantly about NRA and then run to NRA every year. Anyway, go ahead.
Well, never, ever. Underestimate the power of being what do you call those? The virtue signal on the internet. Because these are the same people that said they weren't gonna, and just fill in the blank. They weren't gonna drink this coffee. They weren't gonna do this. They weren't gonna watch football anymore. Just stop.
Oh, that's true, right? Like, we can't carry in there, so we're not going to drink their shit, or we're not going to visit their fried chicken.
We're not going to buy that igloo cooler. We're not going to just stop.
So anyway, it's in Dallas. If I happen to be traveling this year, there's a potential I'll be traveling in 2024. It sounded freaking obnoxiously long. I'm just going to say in 24. I don't know why I said it that way. My brain's not used to it, I guess. But if I'm traveling in 24, I mean, I'd go. It's not like I hate the idea of going. It's free or whatever. But you know what I'd go for? I'd go more to find it. I'd like to see the potential protests. And not that I'd want to go necessarily interview the protestees or anything weird like that, but just experience. Because all I ever hear about is our people, my friends that go. So I know who they are and what time they're spending out there. And then they got other things to do than to just watch that all day. Now, a couple of them are smokers. So they might have spent like 20 minutes out there watching it where other people just walked by, which is, interesting in its own way. Because then you actually, when somebody stands somewhere for a while, you get a better impression than just walking by and getting yelled at or yelling at. But then, of course, the pictures and the little short videos and stuff. So I wouldn't mind seeing some of that. And in Dallas, I mean, I don't know where it's at in Dallas. I kind of know Dallas. I'm learning Dallas, but I certainly don't know Dallas very well to know where it's going to be held, like what the circumstances are going to be. I think the last time it was in Houston, so it's going to be some kind of a big city setting at least. But anyway, so that's
yeah. Dallas is too. Just I'm not doing the Texas ones because they've done Dallas, they've done Houston, and I seriously doubt if they'll ever do Austin because Austin's very, very liberal and they have a heart attack. I'm just saying. It's far. Can we bring them more towards the East Coast? Because we've done like Tennessee would be nice. I haven't checked out the dates for next year.
Well, they did though. They did Tennessee and Kentucky for a while. It was way over there. At
Yeah,
least I
yeah.
consider that East Coast. But they haven't done they also, you know what though, they do their Pennsylvania thing. We haven't gotten to it yet, but they probably figure their Pennsylvania thing is their East Coast.
East Coast. Okay.
Their presence in the East.
Okay, Great American Outdoor Show. Yeah.
But they could go south. There's Georgia. You ever heard of Georgia NRA? There's Louisiana.
Yeah, I've been to that one. I've been to Georgia NRA. That's where I got pulled over. It was hilarious.
What year was that?
Darn.
Long time.
I mean, within the diversity shoot time frame.
Oh, okay.
Because my wife and I.
Somewhere I've got it. I think on here, on Gun Calendar somewhere, I think I have an archive because every once in a while I'm curious. I just don't feel like looking it up right now, but I do have listed all the different NRA places. So if we ever want to get into that, we can check that out. But let's keep going. We're already into it. We're probably about a quarter of the way in this list, actually. The next one is the NAGA. This will be their second. They're calling it a summit now. So any interest in going to that one? Also in Dallas?
No, the location, man. It's just a lot of travel.
If it was like in Virginia, you'd go?
Yeah, definitely. Virginia, North Carolina, heck, Ohio.
Actually, it would be interesting to see something in like Virginia or something.
Yeah.
Ohio's not bad. Ohio's pretty middle of everything, and you could do it. There's some places I would think in Ohio that could handle it.
Definitely. I mean, because you have a lot of bigger places. Ohio is not. I don't know. People fluctuate. It makes me kind of laugh. They think Ohio is a backwoods. I'm like, not really.
I mean, it's got some farmland and stuff, but yeah, they've got their cities.
Yeah.
So then the next one is gun rights policy. We kind of mentioned it already. It's going to San Diego. I'll probably go because it's in San Diego. Maybe, I guess I'll go. At least it's more plausible than somewhere like Chicago or something. Thing is the cost. Like, I don't know what that's going to cost. A lot of times I like to go and just like park in the van, but San Diego isn't down for that. They don't allow. They move everybody along. You don't really get to just park in a van in a parking lot and save on hotels and stuff. So I don't know. I'd have to pay money to go this year. I'm not interested in necessarily doing that, but because Phoenix, I can just drive up there. It's been great going to Phoenix, but I think it's because Alan lives in Phoenix, so they figure they can just do it in their backyard. But I have no idea why they decided to do it in California this year. I think it's because San Diego Gun Owners is probably going to win their group of the year. Richard is saying 2017. Thanks.
All right, cool. Because I was scrolling hard.
I remember the logo being a peach or whatever, but I thought for some reason it was like 12 or something. Like that. It was a while ago.
Man, I was scrolling through my photos hard, man. I got into 2019.
It would have been a while that would have been 2 more years worth. I forget what the heck I was watching. Somebody was, you know who it is? Canoe Reeves was doing memes or whatever. And he's got one where he went to go, he's going to put his age in a thing, and it's that scroll wheel. And he starts scrolling, and then it's like him eating orange juice the next morning or whatever. He's still scrolling behind his fucking age on the thing because he's old or whatever.
Yep.
Anyway, so the next one, or go ahead.
No. Go ahead, man.
Okay, the next one is the Liberal Gun Club. So it'll be their second one. I'll go back as I discover if these things are third or fourth or whatever. I'll try to make a note so that it's as useful as, or at least as interesting as possible. But anyway, their meeting is again in Vegas. I'm estimating it because they have a countdown calendar on their website, but they haven't actually officially announced it. But I'm assuming if the countdown calendar is accurate, then it'll be on somewhere in October, like it was last year. I don't know. If I was free to do what I felt like, and the van seems to be running pretty good, knock on wood. I'd go just to see what it's like, but I think it'd be like going to a bunch of muzzle loaders, hanging out with muzzle loader people. Like, I'd be interested, but it's not all that, I'm not like, watch, because they seem to be like a bunch of new people. So watching new people and people that are just interested in guns for so many different new reasons, I'd be interested in it. Like, I'd like to go as a fly on the wall, but I don't know if I don't know if they want observers going. I don't know if they want people that are participatory or not. But it seems like they essentially just got together and shot in the desert and stuff. So I don't know. You interested in going to that one?
I don't know, man. I mean, a lot of the stuff I do, I like to go just to show support.
Yeah, that's
you
what I
know,
say. Yeah.
Yeah, realistically, yeah, I do it. And I mean, once you get to something like that, yeah, if everybody's shooting, you'd shoot. But just to support the work they do, because they catch a lot of flack from, people in the gun industry or firearms owners, because people don't understand what they do and the work they do and the fact um, that this thing has to have people from all along the political spectrum if you want to win.
And they got to have their on ramps. I like that. I'm gonna start using that more. Like, they got to have their ways into the community, right? And
Hmm.
you expect them to change and be like you. That's lame. You didn't have to put on a cowboy hat if you're used to wearing combat boots. Nobody cared about your flip flops, and nobody cared about your, whatever color shirt you're wearing. So expecting people to conform, nobody wants that. We shouldn't expect that of people. So I dig that, and that's a good way to say it. But the other thing I think I was thinking too, as you said that, it's like, let's say that they have an ammo sponsor and they've got 100 rounds of ammo for each person. I don't want to take a slot there. Like, I don't need to pull a trigger like that.
Hmm.
I'd rather keep that ammo and let somebody else pull a trigger an extra time. Give 10 rounds to everybody, and I'll watch, because I don't need to pull enough triggers. I don't need to worry about pulling a trigger, wasting the resources there, type of thing. So that's the kind of
Hmm.
thing. I don't know how that actually works or what. But anyway, so the next thing would be major shooting events. I probably see that sucks. We can't even say that, because you know what I'm saying? That's got a connotation now. Thanks, fucking the media. But I'm gonna leave it there.
Nice.
But it is, it's our word,
Yeah.
and this really does describe the events, because that's what these are. So we have the Kalash Bash. So we don't go to these, so we'll just wing through them here.
Yeah.
But that's in Texas. That'll be the first one in April. Then the fourth annual Gunmakers Match. I would like to go to that one again, just to see it, watch it, or whatever, be a fly on the wall. Thunder on the Prairie. Again, I'd like to go to that one. That's Defense Dad and Travis, our friends from Nebraska, put that on. This will be the third one, I believe. Then we've got the in Oklahoma, done for a number of years, maybe. Oh man, breaking up again. That's more like the 11th, 10th, or 17th year. I don't know, a long time. Operation is be a car and shooting event type of mix in Utah. It was supposed to happen in 23, so it's rescheduled to 24. Our friends at Works do the Shot Invitational, which is all tournament and shooting event held at 2 different times throughout the year. In Dragon Man's, he has a machine gun shoot, and then there's a machine gun shoot out here in Arizona called Big Sandy. I'd like to be able to get Tony at Big Sandy sometime, down for going out and camping in the middle of the desert.
No.
What about if we brought a big ass RV out in the middle of the desert?
Oh, that's totally different. Practicing being homeless is not my thing, but if you have a bed indoors, yeah, makes sense. Stuff lives in deserts.
I'd definitely like to rent like a big RV. Now, it's going to beat up the RV to some extent, because it's to the middle of the desert and you have to drive up and down some roads. But I've seen big RVs. There's tanks and shit get out there, so it's possible to get out there. But I think a big ass RV would be the way for the dogs, because my one dog is super scared of noise. She's getting better, but she's not good at it. But I think having something that's like more structure like that, so she could have a bed to hide under, kind of thing, would be the best I could offer for her. And then it would be more, I won't say luxury, but it'd be more of a, I don't know, comfortable is the best word to say, than going into the porta potties and sleeping in a tent, or I'm sleeping in the back of the van or something. But being crouched up, because I've experienced Big Sandy in Bob's camper. Bob, the co-host of the Daily Gun Show, had a big fifth wheel. So when we went out there, he probably had a Dodge and a fifth wheel, and there's no place that thing couldn't go. So, or at least that the Dodge couldn't drag it. And having that, I think 1 or 2 years we went out to that and in there, 2 years, I guess, maybe 3 for Bob. And because it's awesome when you're there in that, because essentially, you got your cool fort, you got your, anytime you want, you can go up and watch machine guns. It's a lot of fun. The only problem now is it used to be a 3-day event. Now it's only 2 days because I imagine there's not as much ammo as there used to be. Shooting nonstop for 3 days is getting kind of tough for people.
Yeah, what you call it? They have another one in PA.
I've heard
I
of
don't
it.
know if the Rod of Steel. You've heard of the Rod of Steel shoots?
Oh no, I was thinking of something else. So
the other one, the
Freedom Festival.
Yep, you have the Rod of Steel, and then you also have my man in. God dang, I see his logo in my head and I can't think of it. They're out in the mountains in Towanda, PA, and they have their machine gun shoot. One of the hosts is
I think that's
Prince. It's
Oh no, that's the third one I'm thinking of. Because there's
really?
one on the other side of Pennsylvania, I think. And I think it's a little bit more than just invite only. But it's like you got to be a member of the gun club or a friend of the gun club. So it's a only, but that's how the Prince one is also, or is it a public?
Yeah, Joshua Prince hosts this, and anybody can come. My first time being there was part of going because of the Firearms Radio Network. And that's a machine gun shoot. I went there, ran into friends of ours. What's her name? What's her name? Sarah lives out there from Hold My Guns, and she invites me. But usually I have a diversity shoot or something planned in that time frame. I couldn't make it. But they have a lot of great things out there, too. So there's places to go in 2024 that are worth the ride if you're into it. You just stay in Towanda, PA. They had a brand new hotel. I think it was the first year the hotel opened when I went. So it was brandy new, right beside the Sheets, a couple of decent restaurants, and then 2 days of machine gun shoots with suppressors, industry there that you could actually buy stuff at the event.
You're talking about the Rod of Iron.
No, the one
the other
shoot
one. Okay.
at, yeah, dang. It was right there, too. I almost had the name in my head.
But it's made by the Prince Law Firm.
Shooter's Gauntlet. That's the name of the location. Shooter's Gauntlet, Towanda, PA. But yeah, Prince Law Firm puts it together.
So I'm finding the information for the Rod of Iron is in October of next year. So that's one that I didn't have on here.
Yeah, and that's to do with what's his name over at Firearms.
Yeah,
puts that together, and I really want to hook up with them again. They gave us some awesome knives that we use for giveaways or raffles and help fundraising. Like he gave us some limited edition Firearms knives. Justin Moon.
very cool. So this one will be this next year. 24 will be the 6th annual. Awesome. So now you're seeing us. Let me edit the page here real quick, and now we've added the Rod of Iron. Awesome. And then, what did you call the other one?
Shooter's Gauntlet. That's the location that they use for Joshua Prince's firm that puts those things on. It's an entire weekend. They have, at least the first time I went, and I still think it's the same way, they have 2 different ranges. They have a machine gun range set up on the mountain, and then they have another range for suppressors set up, and then they also have a jungle walk where you can enter with your own firearms and shoot at targets, and they have it timed.
They said the 6th annual one is in 2021. I don't see any updates since then. Do they still do it? Well, this is just their website. I just did a quick search.
I think they did one last year.
Oh no, here we go. Now they just moved it to its own website.
Oh, okay. Yeah, because Sarah
Okay.
invited me to drop our house when they were doing it in case I was down there.
Okay, so the last one was September. They just haven't created one for 24 yet. But yeah, so I'll add that to the list of things to pay attention to, but we don't know. It'd probably be in September again.
It's one way to look at it. I mean, it's
Cool.
rough, man. This time of year because if you try to go too early to set up dates. Now I know I'm working the ranges, and it's too early. Like they haven't gotten around to setting up dates yet because I have to have them have their dates for their classes set, and then I got to squeeze mine in. You know what I mean? Because the ranges don't really get paid that much for hosting me compared, especially in New Jersey, because now they have what you call it, concealed carry that they can sell classes out every day of the week. So me using up a range and classroom is costing them money. So anyway, yeah, Shooter's Gauntlet is really cool. I want to go to Rod of Iron just to see what that's like, even though it's out in PA. A lot of people go. It's an industry thing. It's talking to major firearms manufacturer. You can say what you want, but Car Arms is still out there doing the thing. And if you could get them, and he's already helped sponsors before, so going to one of his events, in my mind, would just make sense. If I can get there and get major sponsorship on for the university.
What kind of drive, what kind of hours is it to get there?
Oh, I'm figuring there's at least 5 hours one way. I'd rather drive out.
Drive there and stay there, not go there for a day type of thing.
Yeah. Drive there, stay there for a couple of days, and then drive back. I'd much rather do that than try to fly, rental car. Like nothing's going to be cheap, but it's just good to get out and actually see people face to face and try to get business done.
Oh, where is the Freedom Festival happen?
What do you mean?
I'm looking for the place, like where it actually is.
Oh, Red Route. Oh, yeah. No, I don't know.
Tommy Gun Warehouse, Greeley, Pennsylvania. Oh, I'm looking at their website over here so everybody can see what I'm looking at. So, view larger map. Let's see where Greeley, Pennsylvania. You said, I'm sorry, did you say you have been to it before or you've just been invited to it before?
No, I've been invited to it.
I've been to a couple of places in Pennsylvania. This is near Scranton. I know where this is, this area. I'd definitely go here again. So if you're going to go here...
Oh, it's only 2 hours, 2.5 hours.
Okay, so that's even closer than you thought. So then you definitely want to... Let's see. If that's Scranton, then that means this is there. Anyway, you want to get your hacks over to the... what is this place called? This river? The Hudson River. And then you want to get to Bannerman Island. And then you want to jump down to a tour of the island. Oh, come on, what is it doing to me? That's weird. There we go. You want to get a tour of this island. Next time I go out, I want to get out there on kayaks. And you can just kayak up and go all around the island on a kayak, do what you want. It's pretty neat. Well, they still let you do that. But anyway, so I would definitely like to go to that place now that I know it's kind of near Bannerman. So Greeley, Pennsylvania. I just needed to put that in here. And then we can, taking this opportunity to type this stuff up because as soon as we're done, I'll be making some graphics and stuff of this stuff. So appreciate everybody's patience while I make sure that it's inclusive and accurate. All right, so that's the rest of the year's for shooting events. Then we get into industry events. The ANMI, you've probably never been to that one yet. It's the Army Navy Military Expo. So it's like a tiny little SHOT Show. But how
Mhm.
SHOT Show is focused on gun shops, this is focused on surplus stores. So it's all the
Okay.
stuff you have ever seen at a surplus store,
Mhm.
and like a little tiny SHOT Show for that. I really, really, really like it because they'll have like bayonets and ponchos and parkas and shit. I guess ponchos and ponchos, same thing, but surplus crap from other countries, and you can buy it by the pound and stuff. It's awesome. But otherwise, it's also all the little gizmos and gadgets that you find at a surplus store these days. SHOT Show, we all know about that, hopefully by now. Rifle Dynamics has an open house. I'm going to try to add more of these SHOT Show events as I discover them, to make it as useful for people that are showing up. You got any interest in going to the Rifle Dynamics event? It's on Wednesday.
Oh heck no! Wait a minute. Wednesday. Yeah, we're already there. I don't know. We have a lot. I know I have a couple meetings, but I'll have to see. I got to put everything together pretty much this week of what I'm going to be doing, so it doesn't get out of hand.
That's true. You can put a lot of stuff on your plate and then find out, oh, I can't juggle all this at all. I've been to the Rifle Dynamics one a few years now, a couple of different times, I guess I should say. This will be my 19th SHOT Show, so I guess I can't even think about how many times I've been to some of these events. But it really depends. The events depend on the people that go to them. Now,
Mm-hmm.
Rifle Dynamics changed a little bit because it used to be kind of an invite only. If you don't know about it, you're not showing up to it. And now it's like, please show up. It's open to everybody. And it's just kind of the size of the company and the interest in their rifles and that kind of thing. But anyhow, so that's an interesting one. And like I say, I'm going to try to add as many as I can. Some of them are invite only. I won't bother with those, but the ones that, or some of them are private and stuff, like I won't bother with those. But the ones that are open for everybody, I'll try to let people know. If you're not interested in SHOT Show, what do you care? Like, this is the industry stuff. That's like not being interested in gun shows. Are you going to be like against them? I mean, I guess I could see, like, I don't care about black powder all that much. I'm picking on black powder because I kind of like black powder, and I figure they're tough enough to take it, because I pick on 9mm and they get all sad, and then I get hate mail, and kind of like I get emotional stuff that, like, voicemails like, why do you say this about 9mm all the time?
You gotta be joking.
You
I
can't.
know.
I'm gonna have to start playing some of the voicemails I get, like half an hour
Oh Lord.
voicemails from 9mm shooters, where they'll be like, "Oh, our 9mm aren't that bad, and because of it, you should also." It's just they start crying. Oh, it's like a therapist. But so I'll start making fun of muzzleloaders because they can handle it. They're used to living and wearing leather and getting burns all the time. But anyhow, so let's talk about POMA. So there's the POMA thing coming up in May, the Professional Outdoor Media.
Hey, did you skip over the Great American Outdoor Show? It's in February.
Great American. No, I have that under gun shows. So we have
Okay.
gun shows. This is just the section for industry, because anything that's open to the public, I figured, isn't really industry. This is the stuff that, the Rifle Dynamics is kind of open to the public. SHOT Show ain't. Enemy, you can go to it. There's nothing stopping you, but it's kind of boring. Actually, it wouldn't be boring. It'd be super cool. I don't know why people don't go to it. But POMA is the Professional Outdoor Media, and the more I learn about it, the less I want to do it. But at the same time, I'd like to at least experience it. And it's essentially the old school, like the older than YouTube, older than the internet, really. The writers and the photographers, the people that took regular images, not just for the internet, like snapshots and stuff, but like fancy, let's pay a lot of money for a camera type of images, spend a lot of money setting it all up type of images, in a studio type of images, right? Like the stuff you see at the auction houses type of images. So when you're spending tens of thousands of dollars and spending dozens of years probably perfecting how to use that equipment, you don't just, you get offended when somebody can take a picture with their phone and be satisfied, right? You want people to appreciate the images or whatever. So it's meeting up with folks like that, and it's interesting. But again, it's like meeting up with black powder shooters. Like, I don't hate them. I don't like have a problem with it. It's just that it's not my cup of tea, right? And I'd rather drink some Dr. Pepper with people who like Dr. Pepper than drink tea with people who are drinking tea. Just because I don't like drinking tea. It's not that I hate those people. I just don't interested in doing what they want to do. So this one, it seems like it's interesting. But it was in Oklahoma or something, I think. So it's one of those things where if it's right next to a bunch of cool museums anyway, then maybe it is an excuse to go check it out. So I don't know, my awesome selling for that. Would you be interested in going to Poma? I think Clover's been to it.
Sounds like fun, but again, with me, it's like the time out. When I'm doing diversity shoots every 2 weeks, I take the day off to do those so I don't get caught because of where I work.
Yeah, you can sneak
I
those
get
in. In
caught.
other words, yeah.
Yeah, because I get caught at work. I can get caught cold and not be able to leave if somebody screws up the count. If somebody miscounts inmates, they lock everything down until every inmate is found and counted. So to be on the safe side, I take the day off. I have to do diversity shoot just so I don't get caught by those. So right now we're looking at 24 days if this year works out like last. Between train and learn, shot, train and learn, shot, the thing with Diana, and then you throw in like 20 events. Man, we're talking like 40 days off this year. So sooner or later, you have to be.
Yeah, you got to start discriminating between how valuable it is versus how much time you got to spend on it.
Mm-hmm. Because most people don't say anything. Most people won't say anything as long as the work's getting done. But when you leave for a week for shot, a week for train and learn, a week for Diana, and then a day every 2 weeks off, people start to notice. Even for a state worker, people start to notice.
Well, and that's something that is a good point that not everyone appreciates or pays attention to because not that many people focus on it. Not everybody has the same circumstances for sure. But are we doomed to be to have advocates who are retired or independently wealthy? Or in reality, are our advocates people that are juggling their real life, their IRL, as the kids say, and their advocacy work? And on top of that, how do you budget time, money, resources for these things? And, how much time and are you taking for these things? So that's a great point. And having to make decisions on these kind of things in the calendar. Well, it's not possible for someone to do everything in this calendar. A lot of these things overlap, and they just there's such a spectrum that nobody would be this interested in all these different things. But even the ones that are most interesting have to, like you just said, have to be weighed against all the other stuff that's going on, plus all the stuff that you're having to stress, I guess. The number of days off you're allowed to have, that takes a financial impact, because you could be working overtime on those days off, instead of going somewhere and spending money.
Exactly. When people ask about it, I'm like, you do understand. Because even setting this up for diversity shoots, I'm like, hey, I need to have the ability to make money somehow, because the diversity shoot has to make money. Like I use comp time, so I'm getting paid from the state for that day at work. But in my mind, it's like, if the diversity shoot doesn't make money, I still got my bills paid, but I spent money coming here. I spent money, my money on food. So did I really make money if I spent money? You know what I mean? Or I could have just stayed at work.
Well, no, that's the thing. You could have stayed and done overtime and just gone to bed tired every night instead of going to bed knowing that you've helped people out, and financially you'd have been way better off.
Yeah, so that's why we try to make these things a success. That's why you advertise. That's what you do. It's funny because it's things I had to tell myself, that nothing's wrong with not being broke all the time and doing advocacy. It's like, yeah, doing stuff, you should make money. You should at least make it so it pays for itself. And like, never ever listen to people on the internet that call it, what's the word they use? Grifting and e-begging, and I'm hearing all kinds of things, and then I realize I'm not hearing from anybody that actually does anything. I'm hearing from people that complain about others that do stuff, but they aren't there.
Yeah, for sure. Or people that just would rather complain. So if you fix something, what's there to complain about?
Mm.
It's kind of the I'm not going to build, I'm just going to knock down other towers. Like, I want to do what
Yeah.
I want to do here, but I also don't want to move over. So if it, I want to doom and gloom, and if it starts looking, it's not cloudy anymore, I'll just start pulling out a hose and make it rainy. I'll make it doom and gloomy if I have to. Anyway, we'll
Yep.
keep moving on. That's
Keep it on.
a whole other conversation dealing with the motivation and the deterrers or whatever. But moving on in the industry section here, aside from SHOT Show, I think most people don't go to very many of these. You go to your specific thing, like of your area of interest again, or like whatever you're focused on. The next one is Outdoor Retailer. I've been to that one, and it is awesome. I might actually start going again now that I'm getting paid to do show and tell about stuff that has nothing to do with guns, and that pays fairly well. So going to an outdoor retailer would be lucrative compared to going to SHOT Show, which can be lucrative, but pretty much everything you do at an outdoor retailer will be lucrative. So depending on what you do and how much time you have to do it, I like to include this stuff. It's definitely adjacent. It's a lot of the people like the knives and some of the boots and things that you can imagine would be both, like some of the flashlights. They'll just change from tactical flashlights and they'll bring out their hiking flashlights or their scuba diving flashlights. So they'll have a different inventory, but it's the same boots. Surefire, they put away the gun stuff and they pull out the headlamps. But it's some of the same people, but they have two of those shows, one in June and one in November. They're kind of focused on different sports, like your skiing and your water skiing, your snow skiing and your water skiing, for example, are different shows. Then you got TriggerCon. A bunch of people are interested in that one. It happens now in Kansas. Definitely an industry event. You have to be invited, I believe. Or is that open? I'm not sure. You got any interest in going to TriggerCon in Kansas?
The only way I would go to TriggerCon if I could combine it with doing diversity shoots.
Yeah, and they set it up usually right on top of gun rights policy, so you have to decide advocacy or industry.
Like if I can't combine some of this stuff with it, then no.
Next one is National Association of Sporting Goods Wholesalers. Now that one's a little closer, but not much, in Missouri. So for me, it's not closer. It's pretty far. And it's in October, which I'd have to look at it on the calendar view to see what it's next to. But I'd only go to this one if it was near something else I was going to be going to. But since it's on a weekend, it's probably going to be at this, overlapping whatever it is I'm going to. But this is essentially like a little tiny SHOT Show. The North American Sporting Goods Wholesalers. So it's like for sporting goods stores. I mean, I don't know. There's a big difference between sporting goods stores and gun shops, but there is. They have the kayaks and they'll have bicycles probably and running shorts and stuff like that, where SHOT Show doesn't have those specific things. It'll have the same like bow and arrows and ammo and stuff as SHOT Show. But I don't know. Any interest in going to that one? Same thing. Yeah. Then we got the major hunting events and then the major gun shows. So I don't even bother with the hunting events. I mean, I try to post some of them. I've got more to post, but essentially each of the critters have their own, if not more than one. So there's elk, there's big sheep, this is the turkey one, but there's like a ducks unlimited. Like there's a bunch of different ones. Each major species has a organization that's dedicated to their wildlife preservation, right? Like either the species preservation or habitat, and then access and other issues. A lot of these birds migrate. So critters, not so much, but birds migrate. So you've got international issues and stuff. So these large organizations do great work. They often own giant chunks of land in order to be in control of habitat. So I'd like to have more interest or have more in this area. It's just that it's not my number one. It's like the, again, going back to muzzle loading. It's interesting. Hunting's neat. I understand it, which is not my 100% my thing, but
Yeah.
I'm going to try to add more to it as I have time, because there are quite a few. And what's nice about the system I'm using is as I add them, it's just a matter of updating them. So that's why it's grown every year. It started with just a few things that were kind of close to us, SHOT Show, and a couple of things we attended, and it's grown every year because now, as soon as I add something new, I just have to update it next year. It takes some time, and thanks to our Patreons, the people that subscribe to what we do, literally gives me the time to do this, but more importantly, pays for the servers and stuff where all this stuff lives. So we're not just doing this because we've got nothing else to do on a Saturday. This is there permanently, so that if somebody needs to know something, just go to guncalendars.com, go to the area you're looking for. We're looking at all the events from 2024, but the idea is so that people can navigate and find these things, put these on their radar, make sure that they've got the time off so that they can attend some of these events, or just promote them. You don't have to attend everything. You can let people know about the Great American Outdoor Show, for example, even if you can't get there. So anyway, there's a bunch of hunting stuff that I'll be adding to. And then the last one, getting to a 2-hour show. I guess it's not too bad for as much stuff, because it took me 6 days or something to put all this together. So this is the gun shows. So we got the Great American Outdoor Show we talked about briefly, but this is the one in Pennsylvania that's been going on for a long time. It's got an interesting story. It's like got an interesting history, but then it's also large. Like it's long and it's large. And I personally know a bunch of people that have been that go to it and have I don't know, maybe it's got steamrolled by it. I've had people that have approached it like a caveman approaching a mammoth. You know what I mean? Like, not everybody walks away with a hunt and a kill, but the people that have feasted, and then everybody else has just like learned from it. Nobody's been trampled by it though. So it's, anyway, Tony, you've been to it, right? And you've
Yeah.
experienced it more than I have. So why don't you take that one again?
Great American Outdoor Show is 9-day show. It's a 9-day show. If you don't make it, you didn't try. I mean, it really is. Especially if you know about it ahead of time and don't have stuff going on, there's no reason you shouldn't make it. And it's huge. I feel it's worth going to just because it's interesting. If you ever been to a gun show, you got the gun show. They don't sell firearms there, but you meet all the companies and you can do work. You can order their stuff, online or do other things. I think Tony's is one of the companies you can buy gun parts. So you can buy everything part of the gun except the lower. But it is fun to go to. They have one section dedicated to firearms manufacturers, and then this outdoor stuff. So you got quads, you got jet skis, you have all of that. And then they have hunters. They got guides, a whole huge section of the building dedicated to hunting guides around the nation and around the world. They also have fishing. They have entire tanks set up so you can actually watch live fish. Who else? NRA has set up a air gun range there, and you can fire air guns, everything from a Daisy to a $2,000, $3,000 air rifle with optics. It is definitely worth going to. Take your time, get there in the morning. You're going to pay for parking. Earlier you get there, the better, because you're closer to the building. But they have parking all over that Harrisburg area. Like, you can park 20 miles away and they have buses come pick you up and drop you off. I drive directly to there.
That's pretty cool. I just assumed parking was horrible because of how big everybody says the event is.
No, you can park 10 miles away. They have places set up, and all you do is hop on the bus with your boys and go there and catch a bus back.
That is awesome. That's something that Tulsa needs. The Wanamaker Gun Show is huge, but parking is horrible potentially.
Yeah, they need to set something up like that because it makes more sense. And it gets other people in on it. Other businesses have parking, but it's far away. I mean, you spread the wealth, and now all of a sudden you have less people whining when it comes about. What else? You got that. You got shows. You got a bunch of food, just different foods. You got the Amish there. It is a 9-day event, and I think it's really worth getting a multi-day pass and going. I think you can buy like one pass for all 9 days, and it's just slightly more expensive. And I'm not even telling you go for 9 days. I'm just saying you can get one pass and go for 2 weekends in a row. Like, don't try to fit everything in one because it's a lot of walking and you'll be tired. But it's worth it if you've never seen. Like, you can walk through. They have taxidermies. They have whole setups. You can walk around that place for a day and not come out of the hunting side. Like that's how much it is. Oh, they have RVs and even little house dealers. So they bring the tiny homes. I think that's what they call it, tiny houses. They actually have those people come in and set up a tiny house or multiple tiny houses, and they have RVs that you can come in, look in, walk in. I mean, you can do a whole pimp my ride kind of just look at expensive RVs because they usually are set up near the air gun range. That's the only reason I saw it. And the air gun range is set inside and it's set over just to one far corner. And when you get into that far corner, it's like there's nothing but boats and RVs and really expensive vehicles in here. Definitely worth going to. Definitely worth the trip. And there are a bunch of good restaurants in Harrisburg. It just Harrisburg, PA closes at like 10 o'clock at night. It is ridiculous for a city to just have nowhere to eat after 11.
We just looked at the thing for Rod of Iron. Like, is it near that area of Pennsylvania or is it somewhere else?
I think it's further out. Let me see Harrisburg, because Rod of Iron is in Greenlee, and that's 2 hours away from me. What is it called? The Harrisburg Farm Complex. Harrisburg Farm Complex. No, Harrisburg Farm Complex is over 100 miles away. What? How is that 2 hours also? Anyway.
Well, because it's like if you're in the center of the clock, these are both like on that radius or whatever that's called, or on that perimeter or whatever.
Oh, okay.
I think. But yeah, it's sort of like, where's Scranton? I go everything off of Scranton because I know where Scranton is. So, so this is pretty far away from where the other one is, but it's compared to me driving from Arizona, they might as well be next to each other. But yeah, they're pretty far away. So, but they're both on the east end of Pennsylvania. It looks like This is actually pretty darn close to Maryland. But see,
people come up no problem.
Deceptive. To me, it looks like that's like an hour away, but in reality, it might be 2 hours because of the way the roads are there, or traffic or something.
It's roads and traffic. Definitely worth going to if you're within. I'm telling you, because they have so many hotels in the Harrisburg area, it's not even booked up. Like, I was able to find, like, at the drop of a hat. Like, when I decided, hey, I'm staying the night, I was able to hit the Red Roof Inn and get in. You know what I mean? Which you'd assume a 9-day NRA type show, there wouldn't be any room for you, but there was.
Smart, it's smart because you make it 9 days. Now, no matter what the amount of people that are showing up, they got 9 days to spread it around. Nobody in the right mind's going for 9 days, so most people are going for like 3. So that gives you like all these windows. And even if some do kind of stack, like on the weekends, it's still not going to saturate the area because you've got 2 weekends. So it's pretty smart. I wish more shows were like that, honestly. I can imagine, because I've talked to people that set up there and that go there or debated it, and have been in conversations where people are talking to each other about going and setting up, and that side of it is murder. Like, being there for 9 days as a vendor is rough. So you got to either have a bunch of people and kind of tag team them into that, or just really have strong people that can handle. Because imagine sitting at a booth at a gun show for a day you have to have some endurance. For a weekend, you got to be dedicated. Like, not just anybody can sit at a table at a gun show for 2.5 days. Like, it's just not possible for most people. And then for 9 days, it's unheard of. Like, SHOT Show is a task. Like, not very many people sit at their booth for the full 4 days. Like, I can't imagine, unless you have to. Not very many people are doing that. You're there.
Well, understand though,
to it, but you're not there.
If you are a company that has people at SHOT, and you have people at the Great American Outdoor Show, man, those are people suffering from some serious Stockholm syndrome.
Yeah, like that's what I'm saying. Like, you can't expect that person who does that to just be jolly and happy all the damn time.
Because look at the dates.
It's tough.
Look
They're
at
right
the dates.
It's the 3rd of January, and SHOT Show ends on like the 20. SHOT Show in the
You
Summer
know,
right above it. SHOT
yeah,
Show ends on the 26th, and that one starts on the 3rd. They literally take down their stuff,
hmm
all ask to Pennsylvania, put it back up. Like nobody's
and put
dressed.
it back up.
Yeah.
You get maybe you maybe get a weekend, maybe, to see your family, to do laundry, and to stumble into Pennsylvania and start all over again.
Would you think it'd be
So
better to do Pennsylvania first and then Vegas, or Vegas
no,
better off first?
Vegas is better off first because you got more of the industry there for Vegas. You know, all the manufacturers and everybody going through, and then this the people. I mean, truthfully, to me, in my mindset, Great American Outdoor Show is an East Coast NRA. It's an East Coast NRA show. They have classes there too that you can take at the place. They
Well,
have
the
guest
NRA show
lecturers.
kind of plus and then minus. Like there's no
hmm
NRA stuff happening, or very little NRA like business taking place. But it's so much more than just the NRA show. It sounds like it's way bigger than the NRA show.
Way bigger. Dude, I have a great time there, but because I know people, like I hang out with the guys from High Point. Um, Zeke was there, so I hung out with Zeke Stout, Battle Horse Knives. Like I know these people at this point that I go and hang out with them, and that's the time I get to see them, which is really great for me. But you can kind of have that relationship too because it's smaller, and you can listen. You want to be the super secret used to be if you rolled in on like a Wednesday, Thursday, hardly anybody's there. And in the last few years, I think a lot of people figured that out. But still, there's less people than the weekend. There's less people than the weekend. And this year, I'm going to have somebody I'm working with, so I actually don't have to be at work every day. So I'll probably squeeze in a couple of weekday days in there. And
It sounds like
pull
from
up
people that have been there that those are like the most productive for content, obviously. But
100%, 100%. And I've got to hang out with, like some of the people that are content creators and have fun with them. And you get to run into those guys if you're into seeing, hey, that's yada yada from the yada yada channel. Like that's how I met Zoe Chopper and his brother for the first time, and they're a big deal on IG. But I never followed them. I didn't know who they were, but other people did. Um, we never worked together, but at least you get to meet somebody who's in the same circle. And I'm not competition with anyone, and I'm not jealous of anyone. So really, it was just meeting other people. It was kind of cool. You get to meet the awesome Tony Simon if you go there.
one of the places.
Yeah, one of the places.
Okay, so I put that down as the main or the first gun show since that happens in February. Now, there's some larger shows like in Virginia. There's some large shows in Florida. I haven't attended them, so I don't have them in my list. But if I should, then definitely let me know. It's not like I'm adverse to adding stuff to a list here. I got a lot of stuff here. But the next big gun show that I am aware of that I attend is, or I guess is technically first. I should move these. Is the Vegas gun show, but it is a gun show. It's huge. It's a giant show, and it's the longest running event in Vegas. They say. So it's interesting, and it's an antique gun show. They go back and forth over the 19-something years I've been going to SHOT. I probably have gone to the gun show, I don't know, like 11 or 12 times. Like I don't go there every time, but I pretty much always go there because it's the Saturday usually. And the times that I haven't gone is when it's like the week after instead of the weekend after. But usually if SHOT Show ends on Friday, this show happens Friday and Saturday. So it's very easy to attend if you want to. But it's an antique gun show. So even like World War I stuff isn't there. Like it's old stuff. Like Civil War stuff is barely there. It's old stuff. So
Holy
it's
crap!
but it's old, and it's not like completely outrageous as far as price. Like it's not like everything's $1 billion, but it's just a bunch of old people who like this stuff, like selling it to each other, and it's interesting. And some of them will let you fiddle with it, most of them won't. But it's just neat to see it. And like some of the things, like a Patterson device, right? The thing that lets you shoot I forget what caliber, is it 380 or something, out of a Springfield um, M1 bolt action. So an M1 Springfield, is that the right thing? Am I thinking the right thing? That Pedersen device? Like I've seen
Yeah,
those.
yeah.
Like I've never,
1903. Yeah, 1903 Shinko.
you barely see them at museums, but I've seen those for sale there. Like that glove that has a gun in it. Again, you barely see them at museums. I've seen those for sale there. So it's a neat show to go to. But and there's also boring, and it's also neglected as all hell. So I like to go to SHOT Show, and I like to go to all these events to keep at this point, because I'm old, to keep my finger on the pulse of seeing how things have evolved and changed over the years. So this is one of those ways that I do that. I think of it as an indicator, as I see popularity and interest there versus lack of interest and neglect, right? And it's, I can't make that happen, but I can go observe it. And it costs me like $20 usually to get in there. I guess I'm also saying they fluctuate with their interest in letting me film. Some years they're like, nobody cares. What are you even asking for? Other years they're like, you cannot film in there. Other years they're like, oh, thank you for filming in here. So nice to get free publicity. So they're not consistent on that, and I just go with the flow. Some years they let me, some years they don't. Some years I don't even ask. I just, because usually I'm not taking pictures of the show. I'll always ask if I'm taking pictures of the show to review it. But if I'm walking up to somebody who's got like, I don't know, I really like miniatures or something, like, and they've got, or a piece of ammo. Like there was this guy, I met the guy from the International Cartridge Show, where I'll talk about in a second here. I met the guy who's the promoter for that show at this show. And I was buying, what a Tround is? The triangle rounds that are caseless. They were made for that. Dadjic or something. Dajic.
Yeah. Yep. Durajet or whatever.
So I bought one of those off of this guy for $8 or something. And I'm like, are you kidding me? It's $8. I have an ammo collection, and it's not like I love these things, but for $8, I now own a Tround, right? That's cool to own. So anyway, I was buying that, and I ended up buying it off the guy that's the promoter of this cartridge show. So we chatted for a little bit. So whenever that was happening, I took some pictures of his table. Like, I'm not going to ask the show promoter if I can do that anymore. Not in 2023. Maybe 9 years ago or 10 years ago, I would have asked, because they would have freaked out. But nowadays, that's not a big deal. But I'll ask if I'm going to take pictures to review the show, and I try to review whatever shows I can. But anyway, the arms show is interesting for sure, and I would like to say it's a must-attend event, because I'd like to see more people, especially advocates who go to SHOT Show, stay and spend the weekend in Vegas after SHOT Show to recuperate and to get together, right? Just so that we can just fucking get together. You went to the thing from FPC last year at the beer garden.
Yeah.
Yeah, like that was one of the best events at SHOT Show in a long time. Like, I've been to better events for sure, because that was super loud and I don't drink. So, free beer. Yeah. If it would have been like free coffee and food, I'd have been like, hell yeah, like hook me up. But it was like free snacks, like sausages and cheese, and then beer, which is, I'm not complaining. That's not, I'm not complaining. FPC went all out and it was nice. But it was in this giant beer hall, and there was some sort of sports or something happening at the same time in the same room, and there was no division except for some plants. So, like fake plants, I think. So it was just super loud and whatever. Everyone had to talk louder to talk to each other. But aside from that, it was a great event as far as just being able to get together and chat with other advocates, and people had other things to do and stuff. So people were coming in and out. So those of us that were like hanging out got an experience to, see people come and go, I guess. So anyway, I'd like to see events like that happen. But in addition to those kind of events, I'd like to see everybody hang out and just spend, say, okay, we got enough to spend, we have enough time and money to spend the rest of the weekend in Vegas. And then at our own pace, just eat lunch together, eat dinner together, and, show up to whatever meals you want. But that's the pace. We're just going to go to this buffet and we're just going to eat for 2 hours and show up if you want. So go do whatever sightseeing you might want to do, calm down or get your editing done, whatever your pace is. But then just have a bunch of people hang out in Vegas after. Anyway, if that's the case, then this gun show would be perfect for that. Hey, we're going to go to the gun show, and then we're just going to be hanging out at the buffet for 6 hours after that. And then give the buffet people a couple $100 and say, leave us alone. We're going to be hanging out over here. Make sure our drinks are full. And I think that'd be a great way to wind down from SHOT Show. Because I'm fat and I like the idea of a whole bunch of people sitting around eating for free. But there are some buffets, I think, back again. So I don't know if you're interested in trying to arrange some sort of buffet while we're in town. But anyhow, that's the big. I'm gonna let you answer the buffet question if you want.
Yeah, I don't know, man. Because we got a lot too. There's so much stuff, but yeah, I'd like to keep that open as a place to eat. Because there's going to be four of us. You know, it was me and my partners from there, and obviously we can split off and do our own thing. Like
But
last
it's
year,
easier to do stuff together, yeah.
it's easier to do stuff together. One Uber, and we're all there, and we all get to eat together. Because once we hit the green room, we make our plan, and then we break and we go separate ways, and we might see each other for lunch. And then we try to meet up at the end of the day to catch a ride back to the house again, so we can only pay for one Uber. But it's like, and then I try to go hang out at the Circle Bar because that's one of those social meeting places that isn't a party, you know, where you have to get a special invite, because a lot of these industry parties, that's what you have a special invite to go there. And it's like, I'm trying to get all that done, because last year I went to the beer garden. That was for FPC. And then while there, I was meeting up with Matt from Meet the Pressers and Patrick from Gun Food and a few other people. And then we took off and went to the DC Project party.
That I didn't get invited. Yep, I remember
that. You didn't get invited? Went to the DC Project party.
A whole bunch of other people got on that one, yeah.
And then now again, I don't drink in public, so I'm not drinking at these, events either. And then after DC Project, you fly downstairs and you try to get some time at the Circle Bar, because what you're trying to do is, at least me, you're trying to put in FaceTime with these companies so they can see you there and establish a relationship, and also reestablish, hey, I've seen you this year, seen you again next year. I mean, that's in my mind what I'm doing. But man, this is exhausting. And then, your day ends at like 1:00 in the morning. At least mine does. 1:00 in the morning, get back to the room. Thank God I'm from the East Coast, because, my clock, my internal clock I don't stay in Vegas long enough for that to get messed up. So I come back to the room, or come back to our house, and I go to sleep, and then I still wake up at 4 or 5 o'clock in the morning, New Jersey time. Well, that's like 6 o'clock there, take a shower, and I'm in the green room again the next day. It's 4 straight days of doing that.
Yeah, there's definitely a weird, what's the word, like division, I guess. I don't know what to call it. But there's a line there where the people from the East Coast are up early, and SHOT Show doesn't start until like 9 a.m. for them or something, or no, later than that, like 11 a.m. for them. So they're up fidgeting all morning, and there's nothing going on. There's like hardly any pre-SHOT Show things, because everybody else in the world is either on SHOT Show time or from the West Coast, where, SHOT Show starts at 8 in the morning or 9 in the morning or something for us. So we're used to going to bed at like 2 a.m., waking up at 8, hauling ass to get over there. It's just Vegas, after all. Most of the people are just not that far from it if you're taking Uber. But the people on the East Coast, your nighttime stuff is messed with. But here's the thing: I'm going to be offer an alternative. And I've probably never been much of an advocate for going to parties. Now, if you're going to SHOT Show for multiple years, go to as many parties as you want. And I might be wrong. It might be worth your time and effort to go to some of these parties over and over again. But in my opinion, after going to these parties again over the years, the people that show up at the parties and the stuff that happens at the parties is not the same as the just hanging out with the people that you know, and the people that the real connections you've got, and taking advantage of that time together. But I might be wrong. Like I said, just there's some of that is potential too. Like, I'd like to see what would happen if a bunch of people.
I agree with you.
Like if the train and learn people got together and had their own evening thing, where it wasn't all fast paced and everybody was just hanging out, smoking cigars or drinking whatever happens at a after hours train and learn thing, and then you know what I mean, like you're reinforcing your relationships, but at the same time doing stuff that you can't do online, you know. And I don't know, some of it is also getting in adventures and doing stuff, and parties are artificial. I go to Vegas way too often to want to go to some party, because I've been to the biggest of parties, and the smallest of parties are smallest of parties. They're just friends getting together, right? But the medium-sized ones are so super awkward, and there's a bunch of people that are anxious, and there's a bunch of people that don't want to be there, and there's a bunch of people that for some reason dig it. And you know what I mean? Like it's this weird mix where for the longest time, going to SHOT Show for us was sometimes 7 people, you know, 4 people. For the longest time it was at least 4 of us and up to 7 of us, and just going and fucking off in Vegas and having adventures. And even if sometimes it was just getting somebody a fucking toothbrush before the party or something, or you know, 3 people wanted to go eat here and 2 people, that's what bonded us. Like, we are brothers and sisters and people who can understand what it's like for somebody to, you know, just all the adventures you have. And that kind of stuff doesn't happen if everyone just gets in an Uber and goes to a party and sits around awkwardly and then Ubers home. I mean, it's possible for that to be useful. Like I say, I might be wrong, but I just like the idea of people getting together and doing more casual stuff and reinforcing their time together, you know, reinforcing the relationships with their time together there. And like I say, since that can conflict with, I need to do business, you know, SHOT Show costs me so much money to go there. That's where I'm going to say again, like, then go early or go late and then hang out with your friends and stuff after or before. It's Vegas, for crying out loud. And how often do you get to just spend time together? You might spend, you know, an evening together at TriggerCon in Kansas. That's probably pretty cool. But you could spend the Saturday after SHOT together in Vegas also. That would be a different kind of cool. And then, you know, how far away is that from letting one of the ranges? There's 11 full auto shooting experiences in Vegas. How hard is it for a group of 3 or 4 friends who create content to get together and say, we're going to be there after SHOT? How much are you going to let us shoot and for how long, right? Just call 10 of the places, and how many calls do you think you have to make before you got a hookup? You know, content creators. Like, there's so many possibilities in Vegas. It's crazy. All right, I guess I'm off on a tangent. Sorry. So
no, but it's funny because last year was the first time I went to any parties. You know what I mean? And again, I don't drink, so going there is to show face. Like going to the DC project was to support the DC project. Plus, they gave out a check. They made some announcements there, and I got to hang out with the ladies whom I know. And this is the only time of year I get to see them all in one spot.
Yeah, and you do the photo thing where you do the selfies, and that gives you a bunch of selfies all at one time.
It gives me a bunch of selfies, and I get to hang out with them. And because I do a different podcast, we know each other. We see each other on the podcast, and it's really great. And also, I can help others that, hey, do you know so and so? Yeah, let me message her and see if she'll be on your show. But I try to make it worthwhile because, just like you said, it's expensive to go out there. But my partners and I from the Firearms Radio Network, it's so cool because we got the house together. We get to hang out, and we take our time and like at least chill out back and smoke a cigar.
Right.
You know what I mean?
And you get to see what it's like when somebody's worried about breakfast and somebody could care less, and somebody just makes breakfast and somebody else is just eating it, not even paying attention to the drama. And
exactly.
That's what I'm talking about. It's just the thing is, not everybody's able to get in the same place. Now, how cool would it be? Have you seen like the hotels that are available? Like you can get an entire hotel for like a huge family or like a reunion or something like some giant event. You can like rent an entire hotel. Have you seen those billboards out there? So that's a thing. Like you can do that, but you can also just get like a floor. I've been to places where we've gotten a floor before, and we kind of did that with gun channels in Tulsa, where so many people went to the same hotel that I don't know if it was coincidentally. I think they intentionally all got on the same floor. And it's just like, I don't know if anybody ever did class trips as a kid or something, but you know, it's the only other thing I can think of unless you've been in the military or a sports team or something. But I imagine sports teams are like this too when they travel, right? And they book them all on the same floor. They can just have a whole nother level of fun So imagine if a bunch of people did that with Vegas, right, for SHOT Show, instead of all being all over the dang place. If a bunch of people coordinated their stay to make it economical, and then everybody staying in the same hotel or in the same floor or in the same, I don't know, sometimes it's condos, like the timeshares now are condos. So how cool would it be if, like, all the Second Amendment advocates had a block of condos, like Second Amendment Foundation, who makes, I don't want to say how many millions of dollars because I can't remember, or GOA, who makes more money than that, or FPC, who's cutting edge and wants to be cool. If they facilitated a bunch of advocates being able to be at SHOT Show, and they said, here, we've got a block of rooms, just tell us which ones, how long you need, as many rooms, as many beds as you need. If you want to stay with somebody to learn about other people, share a room, some people would probably dig that. Or if you want to have your own room, no problem, we can work it out. But how many of those millions of dollars would it take to facilitate all the Second Amendment advocates being either on the same floor or just, owning a facility where everybody could hang out and you wouldn't have to arrange anything. It could just happen organically. I just came up with this right now, but now I'm kind of upset that this hasn't happened before now. But anyway, what I'm saying? I just think that would add another level. And when you mentioned being in the house with people, that's another level.
Mhm.
Obviously, when there's a group of us that are together, that's one thing. But when you get like 7 people, there was no B&Bs back then. Back when there were 7 people, we were like 2 people in one hotel room, 2 people in another hotel room, right? And then there was like 3 of us because I'm super cheap and I'll sleep on the floor. So essentially, it was just all a bunch of us in a bunch of different hotel rooms. So the people who, I don't know, and I'm preaching the choir here, anybody who's ever traveled, but every once in a while I talk to somebody who's never gone anywhere before. So when you get people and you're traveling, like 6 people, let's say a band or a group or something is traveling together, the people who are sharing a hotel room with each other are going to have a different bond than the people who are just eating breakfast all together, right? And those people that are eating breakfast every day all together are going to have a different bond than the people who just show up at work together, right? Like, so those people that have traveled together are going to have a different level of intimacy. And that's where I see that lost at SHOT Show each year. At least it's a potential that we have at SHOT Show each year. But instead, we all individually spend our time and effort to figure out ways to separate as fast as possible from the show, when I guess there's some people that take advantage of like the show suites and stuff. But to be honest, how much money do you have to be able to do that? You have to be fucking rich to be able to stay at the hotels that they set up for you, where you can just walk
Yeah.
around. And those people probably aren't hanging out with each other anyway because they're super rich. I'm just assuming. But the people, like I say, that are doing this stuff, like, it would be just a whole nother level if we were able to get that camaraderie or whatever. And then what would SHOT Show be? That like bonding situation. And again, if there's a national level organization that's making millions and you're listening to this, what the hell? Why don't you do that at every event? Every single event should have like the block of rooms from FPC or GOA or whoever, NRA. Probably wouldn't do it, but and then make it possible for people that are doing actual advocacy to show up and be able to spend all that time collaborating. Then it'd be real easy to create a shuttle also, so people could just stay at their hotels and shuttle over to whatever the actual event is they're there for. Anyway, seems obvious now that I'm saying it, but
Yeah, because it was fun. I mean, hanging out with Derek from Kids Safe, Charlie from Riding Shotgun with Charlie, John Petrolino, myself, and we had Aaron from the Off Road podcast because I was staying with him. And if nobody heard the story about my shot 2 years ago, it was the Airbnb they rented, but I was the only one going, but was straight up in the hood, like, and not in a good way. So I ended up just staying at the hotel with Aaron instead of going to the Airbnb. We canceled it. So I got to hang out in the hotel with a guy from another Firearms Radio Network show. And then I got to introduce him to my friends that were two-way advocates, and that gets crossover, that can talk to other shows about it because they're on the Firearms Radio Network, and they might not have known about Derek. They might not have known about Charlie. They might not know John Petrolino writes for Bearing Arms and various other publications. So it's that whole getting together and taking an opportunity, because you do have so many diverse backgrounds and stuff that also are in the firearms industry or also has a connection to the firearms industry. And I think we miss out on that. So I totally agree with you that a lot could happen. And it doesn't have to happen by accident. You can actually set it up so the opportunity is greater. Just imagine getting one of the smaller hotels and packing it with advocates and having a couple meeting rooms, and you could actually have food catered or something. By kicking it all into the price, would also get a good deal. It's like, hey, we can fill it up with these number of people, these people. Got a smoking lounge, or if not inside, outside.
On top, yeah, have the roof be like a smoking area, or like a porch, or what do they call that? Like the patio.
Mm-hmm. That everybody can get out and have cigars and chill and just you can have meeting rooms, and of course people can meet in each other's rooms, do interviews. I mean, dude, if I could have everybody in one spot, I mean, because every interview does
Easy, you could do it just in the parking lot or book around, but actually there's a couple of
every
places I can think of that would be ideal for a situation like that. You'd have everybody that would be interested. Everybody that would be
yeah
interested showing up there for reasons, so people wouldn't be showing up. Oh, it's something else, the people would come up for it, so it would be pretty useful. Kind
yeah
of came,
every interview does have to be a 7-part.
came up with the no, I can't even think of what it was. Wanted to get some advocacy at these events. So I go back and see if there's any water on those seeds from the what did we call that project? But that was like second gen gun channel stuff where we were in some of that friends going together and understanding what you're kind of talking about there. The potential. He's talked about I'm definitely losing. He talked about the collaboration, the potential for it when everybody's staying in the same place. Am I even here anymore?
Yeah, you're here.
Okay. So, so SHOT Show, obviously, we're going to be talking about it a lot, and the Vegas gun show that happens the weekend after, made me think about how great it would be if everyone stuck around at SHOT in Vegas for an extra weekend to wind down and work and just kind of hang out together. But we also have blade shows, which happen 3 times a year. First one happens in Texas in February. Later on, there'll be the real blade show in Atlanta in June, and then there's one in Vegas. Salt Lake City in October. I think that one has been in Vegas in the past. So the Blade Show is like a big gun show, but at best, I guess you could say. So it's essentially what it sounds like. It's a gun show for blades. These are all pretty far east for you. So, or the Georgia one, maybe? Any interest in going to the Georgia one?
No, I mean, I'm not that much of a nice guy, and if I'm down in Georgia, I mean, the Georgia would be combined with seeing family down there. You know what I mean? In the area, that would only be if I was down there, and then I'd hit the blade show.
It seems like that kind of show, like the kind of thing that unless you're really into it, you're not going to go there just for it. But it's certainly like, yeah, if you can arrange it, I'd go there because you could hit it in one day. I think you don't have to spend like a weekend going.
Yeah, like if I was, in South Carolina, which is 4 hours away from Georgia, where I'll be staying. Yeah, I'm there, and I'm there for like 4 days. Yeah, okay, let's hit the blade show. Do the blade show, see that, take some pictures, meet some people, and then get my butt back and visit family.
So then in the gun shows, this is a slippery slope. This is called the Daily Gun Show. I'm a big fan of gun shows. I've been going to gun shows my whole life. When did you start going to gun shows?
Only a few years ago.
So when you were growing up,
2019,
think about them. Were people going to them and you chose not to, or was it just not a thing? Or
there wasn't a thing near where I was. Gun shows, like big gun shows, to be held in Richmond. That's 2 hours away. It's just not happening. So I just hang out at gun shops. I just go to the gun shops and hang out and read the magazines and stuff like that. Um, and then I came up here and we had the Eagle, I think that's the name of the Eagle gun shows over at the Oaks in Pennsylvania. And I drove to there and was like, holy crap, this is awesome. Yeah. I used to just visit gun shop after gun shop. I never got to a gun show. I just hear about them a lot. But
So
remember, I
just
came to Jersey. They killed all the gun shows in New Jersey
well,
long ago.
exactly. And that's the thing. And in some areas, if you don't have a promoter, you're not going to have a show. If you don't have venues, you're not going to have a promoter. And if you don't have people, you're probably not going to have venues, because venues are usually like sports or something that brings a bunch of people, rodeo, I don't know, racetracks and shit, like things that bring a bunch of people together. So if you're in an area that just either has too many of those or, whatever, so you got to have like all the pieces. And then there has to be an interest in them. So back in the day, and just like anything, you can imagine like watching stuff from like racetracks in the old days or watching horse races in the old days. It was just cruder, there was less moving parts and it was just more smaller, right? It was just, not maybe not smaller, but it was just less to it. So the gun shows back in the day were more just set up a bunch of tables and people showed up. And nowadays gun shows have fancy, thanks to places like Owl and Anchor, our friends here in Arizona, that can set you up with a tablecloth and like a thing to put behind your, what do they call it, like a big poster or a banner for banners, what I'm thinking of, for your booth, so that you can get some branding out there and make your booth identifiable in the show, that kind of thing. Like that's more the norm now. Back in the day, it was just a bunch of people showing up and kind of like a swap meet, just opening up their trunks or opening up the stuff and putting it on their table. Just open up some boxes and putting it on their table. But essentially it's always been the same, just a swap meet. People selling their stuff, their old scope or their old grips or their old sling or their half-empty box of ammo, or maybe they bought a whole bunch of boxes of ammo for this caliber and they don't want it anymore. It's just a swap meet, essentially. It's just that because of the way the 1968 Gun Control Act was written, and it was amended, I think in 86, but I'm not sure. But in 68 for sure, they said FFLs can only do their business in their brick and mortar, or at a gun show. So all of a sudden they had to place a name on gun shows, and that gave the people who hate rights a thing to attack. So that's why they go after gun shows. Otherwise they would just be swap meets, and sometimes swap meets would have guns in them, sometimes they wouldn't, or flea markets or whatever, right? But anyway, so I've been a big fan of gun shows, and there's a ton of them. I guess I'm going off on a tangent, but since it's such a giant realm, I'm going to try to limit it to the big ones. So we talked about the Great American Outdoor Show in Pennsylvania, which arguably could be the biggest because it's technically a gun show still, right? Are there still people just setting up, or is it more of a exhibit type of thing?
Yeah, people still set up. No one's selling guns. They
So
stress that.
Flea market.
Yeah, no one's selling guns, but they have tables set up, and for the cost, tables set up. They're set up all week. It is not somebody just selling their old copies of Soldier of Fortune. I mean, it is companies, either they're online or they have brick and mortar stores, and they make that 9-day time and financial investment.
It's more like a craft show, or like a weekend. Is that what they call them? A craft show? Like where people who are essentially in business show up and have.
It's almost like setting up at a festival.
Yeah,
because there's just so many different things, and it's like you're going to put the time in. No one's going to do a quick, hey, I'm going to sell this 2 SKSs and this box of ammo and leave. There's none of that.
Right. So then I'm still calling it a gun show, though. But again, if it's the largest one, probably not then, because Wanamaker would be the largest one. So that happens in Oklahoma, without going too long on this, since we're already over an hour. 2-3 right now. That's interesting. So 2 hours and 23 minutes. But anyway, Wanamaker is in Oklahoma, and it's in a building that they built to have oil rig shows in. So for the oil rig industry, whatever that's called, the petroleum industry or something, they made this giant building with no internal supports. So it's just a big freestanding, what do they call that when it's like, open building? It's huge though. It's a giant building. You can erect oil rigs in there, and it's huge. It's not just tall, but it's also massive. So it's this massive building in Tulsa, and the outside of it looks like an alien spaceship landed because all the supports and rigging and stuff that makes the roof stand up is like a suspension situation, and that's all outside the building. So it's interesting looking building, but it's this huge building in Tulsa. It's their state fairgrounds. And wait a minute, is there state? It's fairgrounds. I don't remember if it's the city or the state or the county or whatever. It's some kind of fairgrounds. And the Wanamaker Gun Show has been going on for a long time. It's huge. It's the largest gun show by far, so that makes it the largest gun show in the world. And it happens twice a year, so in April and in November. We've gone to it a bunch of times. The Gun Channel's folks go to it pretty much every single show. For the longest time, we were going to it as media, so there's lots of content out there about Wanamaker. The same way we talked about Blade Show being a show, and the Wanamaker show is a regular gun show. For the most part, it's any era of gun. There's very little not gun stuff there. It's unique in that it costs way more money to be there to sell beef jerky or memorial plates than it would to sell guns. So they encourage guns there, and it's mostly guns. But then there's the Blade Show, which is blades. There's also cartridge shows. I alluded to the meeting the guy from the big one, which is the St. Louis cartridge show that happens in March. But there's cartridge shows for people that collect ammunition throughout the year. So I just like to put them in here because I'd like to attend all of those at some point. That would be one of my goals when I get back on the road, is to visit those. I'm a big fan of ammo collecting. But for now, since we're so deep into the show, I'll just kind of move on from there. Then there's also the Small Arms Review Show, which is a very large show that happens out here in Arizona. And that happens the first weekend of December each year. So this year it overlaps into November a little bit. And that's a huge show. And Small Arms Review is a magazine that focuses on full auto and belt-fed stuff. So it's an entire gun show of machine gun stuff attached to a very, very large gun show, and together they become the largest gun show this side of Wanamaker, and that happens the first weekend in December in Phoenix. So and I've been going to that one almost since it started back in like 2000, something like that. So it's 24 something years of that show. So then I don't go to it almost every year. I go to it probably 50% of the time. It costs an arm and a leg to get up there, and then I like to spend money when I'm there. But I have a lot of fun at that show. But there's other shows around the country, and I just haven't attended them. So if you're familiar with the ones in Florida or Virginia or some of the others that I might not be, maybe in Texas, I know there's some awesome ones in Texas, let me know. I'm not adverse to putting them on the list. It's just I had to draw the line somewhere, so that's where I drew the line on these. So we've been going about 2.5 hours without a couple of tangents, probably a good 2 hours worth of talking about the events that are coming up in 2024. We don't have to end it right this second or anything, but just kind of to wrap up. Thanks everybody for your patience if you've been listening this whole time. Most of the people that listen to our podcast are listening at work or while you're driving. So the feedback I get is that people appreciate the long format stuff. So if you're listening to this and you can't handle stuff that's over 40 minutes long, I'm not going to apologize. It's what you signed up for when you started watching the thing that's 2.5 hours long. But that being said, I don't want to keep Tony all day either. This is the end of the year. Anything that we talked about today that I missed, or that you want to jump back on, or any end of the year stuff?
No, just trying to get everything planned out for next year. It is crazy how it just flew by. I feel the year flew by. I did a lot of events, I did a lot of things. Didn't put out as many shows as I wanted to. I'm gonna have to figure out my own personal schedule to bang the shows out. Like I have interviews that I did that I still haven't released, and I want to get them out, and I want to time them with things. This year I actually started to compete. I started to compete in November of last year in shoots, but it's taken over, and I'm doing a lot more competitions now. I'm pulling triggers a lot more. I'm hosting events a lot more. So the year just seemed to fly by, but I did a lot of new things. And so setting up going into 2024 with a new perspective of trying to get people in, and also a new strategy to talk to companies to get them to send us their firearms, because I come to the realization that yes, I'm doing almost 24 range visits a year. You know what I mean, for the diversity shoot. Well, gun companies do that all the time. You know, a range day for FN, a range day for SIG, a range day for Smith. And I'm like, well, I do 24 of those. And my guys are bringing their own firearms, but it's kind of monotonous, you know, because I got the same guys. They have a collection of guns, but why not have the industry donate their guns for us to use? If you want people to, you know, purchase your gun, because I'm introducing them to them for the first time. And I'm also introducing veteran gun owners to new guns. And some people just not impressed by another Taurus or another, you know, Smith 2.0. So let's talk about getting your higher end items that you want to see at a gun show. I mean, at a what do you call those? At a range day. So I'm going to put it on the gun companies. I'm going to request that they send us their higher end stuff that we can use, because I mean, this is year 9. We've proven that we can do it. I'm like, how much would it cost you to have 9 or what, 20 different range days throughout 5 ranges in New Jersey? You know, for me to do it, it costs you a gun or a couple of guns. And again, we've done this. This is the 9th year. If you say, hey, Tony, what kind of guns do you have at your event? I'm like, well, right now I know we're going to have, I don't know, a Staccato. We know we're going to have a Nighthawk Customs. We're going to have this, you know, not depend on my guys to bring it, but I actually have it and it shows up at the event. So if you want to try a top end 1911, I got one. If you want to try 2011, I got one. The new CZ, what is it, Shadow 2 Compact or Shadow 2. You know they're going to be at my event, and it's not dependent upon which of my guys show up and what he brings. So that's how I'm going to be approaching the industry this year. When they ask what do I bring to the table, I'm like, 20 opportunities for you to introduce people to your handguns at my event. And, you know, hundreds of new people, hundreds of new gun owners. So that's what I'm going to be talking about and doing this year when you see me at or hear about me being at SHOT, when you hear about me being at the Great American Outdoor Show. Same thing with when I go to Train and Learn. All of those are talking to industry people, talking about getting their products to show up at our event, also to help get it used for fundraising. So the end of my year is making up my media kit and strategizing how I'm going to set up the year to make most sense to spend the money and time, limited money and limited time I have available to ensure diversity shoot goes on for another 9 years after this one. So that's the end of my year.
I put my dog down. So he's over there making a bunch of ruckus. This sends you to the Patreon. You're not using the Patreon anymore. We need to change that button. I thought this was going to be a PayPal button. So,
yeah, I'm going to find out what's going on with that because I'm trying to get something in that people can just stop by, donate if they want to, or become a member or something if they want to. Because it makes sense, like not to have a membership, but maybe like you said, a subscription. I'm not battling anybody for anything. I testify on my own, but I've been invited back out to Phoenix in 2025 because this year, when the Phoenix Second Amendment rally is happening, I'm going to be down in Florida with Diana Mueller. But they told me 100% I am welcome to come back to Phoenix in 2025. So they're inviting me for that. So it is important to have funding coming in, and guaranteed money really helps ease stress. I mean, everybody knows that I didn't say anything groundbreaking, but it's like it really helps, man.
no, it doesn't. I think that it's an effort, I guess, to let people know how much a couple of bucks, there's a couple of hundred people can throw a couple of bucks down. I think that's one way to look at it. Is the other night, um, uh, someone's in the community, the reloading community from Georgia. So I don't know
Mhm.
where the person's from, but the group of people that get together are from Georgia, or at least the people that started it. Maybe I don't really know the whole details. Obviously, it's a group of people, but it's a group of reloading people that have this interest in reloading. One of their friends, one of the people in the community, the family had a loss, a generational loss, a mom and the child left
Mm.
left children. So I should say grandparents and a mother left children behind, and the person left with that is right at the holidays. So they talked about that, and in order to change, to get some of the legal stuff to what's that called, probate or whatever, like, in order to facilitate moving things along legally, financially, so that they can inherit or whatever. The I don't know what all that technical shit is, but anyway, doing that to get some fund, raise some funds, and just to show support financially. As capitalists, it's one way that we can show support. They raised a couple of grand, playing around and just having some fun on an evening, and I think that's a great example of how it can happen. And Tony doesn't make a couple of grand. I mean, I don't know, but I'm assuming you don't make a couple of grand from Patreon. But I'm guessing a dozen or two people. Now, some people were throwing down hundreds of dollars, so it amplified pretty quickly with that rate. And most people aren't in the level where they can throw down a couple of $100 in support every month. To do it once for a person is one thing, but to do it on the regular, but to throw down $10, a portion of a subscription, a cup of coffee, whatever you consider $10. Everybody's different. For some people,
Mhm.
$10 is a day's meal, a day's food, and other people, $10 is the tip for lunch. You know what I mean? Like $10 is $10. Now, $10 a month is $120 a year. So if Tony had 1,000 people dropping $10 on him once a month, that's $10,000 a month. That's incredible. And
Jesus.
that's right. You know what I'm saying? $10 a month. I don't even know. That's what would the world be like? I've been efforting since, I guess, 2018, when I started getting into it with the traveling, and getting kind of frustrated with the lack of national level support for the advocates that are coming and going. By 18, all the people that started in 15, you are the people today live in the luxury of the people who survived the years since 2015. Tony, Maj, Katie, Diana,
Mm.
Robin, everybody that's on the scene today, except for the old people, are from 2015. But guess who
Mhm.
isn't there? Everybody else. You want me to get a book out and tell you about everybody who's out there? I can tell you, recently we lost Locked and Loaded. Recently we lost Paul from Daily Bullet. Recently we lost 2A cops. Recently, I could go on and on, just the recentlys. It's frustrating. Barbecue.
Wait a minute. What happened to Paul?
Paul stopped doing the Daily Bullet. Oh, you didn't hear about that? He put it on hiatus and stopped doing it as a Daily Bullet. I'm not
And
sure
we're
if
only
all.
doing weekly?
No, not at all. He pulled the bullets. He's got a, I guess this, I don't know what his situation was with Second Amendment Foundation, but it's ended,
Mhm.
and he needed to go to work at nights, and it was too much for him to
Oh,
do
dang.
that. So he put his podcasting on hiatus. Since he did that mid December, or maybe is it mid December already? He's done one show since. So he did do one show with Alex Uli, but aside from that, so just to show that he isn't, completely gone. Um, he's not doing the show on any kind of regular basis anymore. So just, the occasional special edition will happen. But he's so anyway, he's out of the mix. And again, I could go on and on. Unfortunately, we're just not Borg. We don't efficiently
Mhm.
use our resources, and we don't champion those folks who have the most potential. Sometimes the people with the most potential, we have nothing to do with it, and it just doesn't happen. So, you can support everybody, or you can support the people that you want, or whatever. What I'm getting at is, um, the reason we lose people is because we're trying to do everything. We're trying to do whatever we have a focus on, and manage that with our personal lives and our finances and our time on the planet. It's different for everybody. When you're old, it's your legacy. When you're young, it's your how much time you're spending with your kids, maybe, or how much retirement you're actually saving. Do we want our advocates to have to be independently wealthy, or they have to be out for some ulterior motive that makes them money? Or do we realize that 1,000 people can drop $10 and put $10,000 on efforts that are insane? That were changed. Actually, I shouldn't say efforts that are insane. It would be insane what could be changed when you put $10 a month on a project that has potential. So, we have people like Maj who are pretty good at raising funds. He does it in his way with his, I don't know what to call it, audience or group of people that are interested in what he's creating and what he does with his funds. But, obviously everybody's got their own formulas and their things, but trying to illustrate the concept that a little bit by a lot of people changes the playing field completely. I try to think of that. If each of the, I'm just going to go on my tangent here for a second. If each gun shop decided they're going to put $10 a month on the DC project or whatever it's called, the Women for Gun Rights Delegate each month,
Mm-hmm.
and if let's say not even each, let's say 10 gun shops did that, that's $100 a month. Would that pay for her meals? Now make put the numbers. I don't know. I'm using dumb numbers. I'm trying to do this off the top of my head, but essentially, if we put this into practical reality, gun shops could do stuff, champion projects, people that are interested. Like you keep saying that analogy, that number of 1,000 people, which isn't that large a number of people really, could be in favor, in support of something at the level of $10 a month, which isn't that much. It wouldn't deplete the industry or the community from resources or anything. If anything, I would think it would start to encourage more of the same, right? Once you see what somebody can do with $10,000 a month, you're going to go, well, I can put $20 a month down, or the next person could say, well, I'd like to see what my $5 does, my $15 does, right?
Yeah, I mean, dude, I'm thinking if I knew I could get a steady income, it would really make me question. I mean, the only thing, uh, like a steady income, the only thing that would hold me in my job is the insurance. Like the insurance, for my family. That because it is, working through the state. But I'm like, to have the ability to host diversity shoots, not wear my guys out, to go into other states, to do a Pennsylvania. This week I'm in Jersey. Next week I'm in Pennsylvania with a different group of guys. The week after that I'm back in Jersey with my original crew. Go down to South Jersey because there's potential to do diversity shoots every week if you spread them out over a large enough, area.
Well, you have one in Pennsylvania each month, once in New Jersey each month, ones that you travel somewhere to or something, once Virginia, or two in New Jersey or whatever. So I guess what I kind of went off on a tangent there and lost is that, one of my efforts over the years since I started kind of realizing that people aren't just going to work together like Borg, it's just not our tendency or our nature, is that, we can create habits, we can cut new ground or path. So I guess that's one of those things that we can work towards. I went to interrupt here and I started talking and then I lost what I was thinking about there again. But essentially, though, that we were talking about the diversity shoot and I guess okay, now I'm back to it again. Sorry. So I've been working on that for a while, but I figured out that it's not really possible to. You can have all the best intent in the world, but you can only affect what you can affect, right? You can not want the water to flow past, and you can do something to stop it, but unless you got the resources to build a dam, right? You're just going to divert some water. You're just going to create an island at best, and you end up treading water, depending on how much water's flowing. So I think something that is possible here, and something that if somebody in the industry is listening to this, we've got Patreon. There's other crowdfunding type of situations. You've got YouTube super chats and memberships and things. So essentially, it's there's the potential for someone to collect a bunch of money and then to distribute that bunch of money. We've had it for advertising with videos. If anybody remembers, I'm not going to get into it, but the different wars of the alternate YouTubes for guns. There's some of those people got together in order to host videos, in order to post commercials and ads, right? Well, the same potential exists for advocacy. The difference is that there's probably more potential for growth in the advocacy, I think, as a sector, because more people have an interest in advocacy, since it's a benefit to everyone. And once people realize that, oh, if I become an activist for whatever, XYZ, like my suppressors, then I'm also going to possibly be an advocate for my right to carry, because it's essentially the same thing. I'm already contacting a representative, right? And if I'm educating my representative on my issue, suppressors, and somebody else is educating a representative on their issue, right to carry at a school or something, boom, the representative gets not just flooded with a bunch of people saying my property, but they get uptrained and educated and become aware of the facets of the community. Anyway, so I think there's some real potential there for capitalist gain, because there's going to be a bunch of people to collect money from, and then it gets distributed. PayPal takes, I don't know, a cut, 3% or something, and then Patreon takes 10% or 11, I don't even know anymore. YouTube takes 40%. So somebody could come along like a Brownells. I'm just looking at the giants in the industry: Brownells, Midway, Gunbroker. I don't know. I'm just picking things randomly. RSR. I don't know. Some of the giant. I don't know if RSR even exists anymore. I don't think it's a manufacturer's task, but I think some of the people who've been essentially the redistributing, or the whatever you call them, the in betweens, the people that facilitate the movement of all the stuff. Like, they've got the infrastructures and they've got the technical. They could easily add this, I think, to a list of things that they offer. I don't know if they've ever been approached with it. I do think it's possible for a national level organization to do it if they just decided doing something besides lawsuits was worth their time. But it's certainly doable. It's just it's simple once you think about it. As far as things go, it's just a bunch of pieces that you put together like Legos, and then you just task someone with paying attention to it, and it would essentially work just like Patreon or any of the others, except instead of Patreon being a random bunch of people, you'd have people that are, at least in some direction, all pulling on the same rope. They're all here for the same reason. They may not all agree. There's going to be some bickering and shit. You'd have to put some people on it. But that's all you need, is a minimal amount of people and a little bit of infrastructure, and you could profit, I'm sure, because there's nobody who would expect you to do anything for free. So I'm just putting it out there. I don't think it's impossible to create a way for advocacy to be funded to the level that it should be. Because right now we live with part-time advocates that are rich, or advocates that are killing themselves financially or with their personal lives, grinding themselves out. People that we see losing their, or leaving their place on the playing field. I shouldn't say losing, leaving their place on the playing field. It's because they ground themselves out in one of those aspects.
100%. I mean, what you call it? I mean, listen, Reverend Ken Blanchard told me himself he's quit multiple times, and I talk to people. Look, it sucks. It sucks because many of us have a passion for this. I'm not doing this because there's a ton of money involved. I think it needs to be done, and I'm not the only one. But the Reverend told me, hey, listen, it happens, man. He was like, when the choice becomes, feeding your family or doing this thing, your family comes first, because your family's going to be there. And he's walked away a number of times from 2A advocacy to work. He's an amazing dude. If people don't know who Black Man with a Gun is, Reverend Ken Blanchard, he wrote books and everything. But he was telling me about it. This guy worked for he was in the Marine Corps, worked for the CIA, did this, did that. I spoke to him at one time. He was working as an armed security guard. And he was like, "Hey, man, I need to make money for my family." After because he was an ordained minister, and because he was pro-gun and trying to tell people in Washington D.C. that they were their own first responder, forces in the church had him removed as the minister. So he had to feed his family. So he told me, "You do what you need to do to take care of you and yours. The advocacy will fall apart, and you can always come back." And he's been through some stuff and gave me stories on Inside Scoop and organizations that weren't there but act as if they are, all kinds of things. So I think it sucks when we lose somebody who has a passion for it. And yes, if financing, because usually for financing, it's just a money thing. This stuff ain't free and it ain't cheap going to these places or hosting my events or going to 4 different ranges and having relationships with them and getting there early and setting up. Just not free. So you're right. You're 100% right. If we could find a way to fund this without giving up a lot of worrying about, well, who's going to kick us out because they had a policy change or updated their terms and conditions. That's one of the most frustrating things ever. All of a sudden, you're just the constitutionally protected right that you need license and background check to practice is being treated like it's a crime. Just sucks. So yeah, in the long run, it's just money helps a lot. Money relieves a lot of stress when it comes to doing what I do.
Sorry, I was muted. So it doesn't solve everything, but it takes us to a level where we're dealing with issues of how successful our programs are, which angles are more successful, but takes us away from a bunch of people who are treading water most of the time. And if they're lucky, swimming in a direction for an amount of time that they're able. But unless people came to the table or to the situation with a boat or with some kind of water skis or something, most of us are on our own. And like I say, you can tread water as long as you want. You see other people, you get motivated to stay above water. But yeah, unless there's something there, the most that anyway, we'll keep going on these analogies. But with that being said, what we've been doing today for the last just about 3 hours is taking a look at the upcoming events in 2024. Normally on this show, we answer questions. So we'll go back to that format again next week. Let us know. I think I'm going to try some more theme shows. We kind of did that a little bit last year, but I'll try some theme shows. And I do want to dig into my back catalog of magazines and stuff. Maybe we'll do this on Rumble a little bit. I forgot to put this on Twitter. Dang it. I'm going to put it on Twitter real quick while I'm thinking about it. But maybe we'll throw a show up on Rumble once in a while where I think we'll be able to talk more about like prices and things like that without running close to policy issues. But I'd like to just talk about that. I don't know if it's interesting for people or not, but give us some feedback on that. And then again, doing some more theme shows. Maybe we talk just about, whatever, 1911 or AK or whatever it is in 2024. Anyway, so I guess we're winding down. Sorry, I let the door open here and my dogs are in different levels of freaking out and trying to do bad things. So I'm trying to be distracted here. Not be too distracted, I guess I should say. I don't know if She Fires is still listening, but if you read the email, then you know what's up. Otherwise, I sent you an email. And thanks, DJ, for dropping links. Krabby Turtle is saying you should have one in Maryland. Have you heard of Machine Gun Nest?
Actually, a friend of mine has directed me to Machine Gun Nest and said, "Dude, we really be interested, or it'll be a great place." He didn't say his guy be interested. Marco.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah. So my whole thing is, let's get Jersey set up, and because when I do it out of state, I have to actually talk to the volunteer. We have to get the volunteers, and I have to discuss with the volunteers what it's like. And put together Second Amendment groups, because it's not just me hosting an event at the range. It's me getting also Second Amendment organizations to the range. It's getting enough volunteers to the range, and it's letting enough people know that they actually show up and put butts in seats to make it an effective an event. Because man, sometimes it really sucks to take that hit, host an event, and only have 3 people show up. Especially when you put a bunch of work in and you got more volunteers than attendees.
Well,
It is what it is.
when it's sort of like what's the word? When it's like, I don't want to say when it's sort of paycheck to paycheck, man, that's what I'm thinking of. Then it's a, but when it's sponsored and funded, then it's an opportunity for the volunteers to have sort of their night out. Like they get to blow out that would have been attendees, and they get that kind of fringe benefit, way to say it, like that, hey, when it happens and when it does, it's like our pizza party. You're looking forward to it, but you're not expecting it or whatever, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, we've had that happen a couple times. We look around and was like, well, fellas, it's just us. Want to go on the range, have some fun? Because what hit me hard was when IG changed up and just started muting, or what do you call it? Not blacklisted. It just mutes my reach. Because
I forget what they call that too. But yeah, they've essentially muted us. We can only reach the people that are subscribed to us.
now I've looked because I'm at 84. I was at 8,400 followers. Then it would go up to like 8,416. Now it's down under 8,400 is like, 8,390. But I've had some amazing response to the last 8 out of 10, 8 out of 10 Instagram posts that was significantly more people than actually are followers, and it didn't change the number at all. I'm like, get out of here, because some of those same Instagram posts has picked me up like 100 followers on Twitter in the same time period. And I'm like, how is that possible? It's like it's not. It's not. Something's up. Like when I compare the two to each other because they're not the same entity. Facebook, I've just given up on that. I've just given up on Facebook because I know that's not real. No matter what the engagement there, they're not going to allow gun community stuff to grow. Where you at is where you are.
Well, on Tuesdays, I do the coaching stuff, and that's actually an interesting topic. I'm going to write that down. Because that's something that, or at least when you bring that up, it makes me think of the debate we all have, or the dilemma, I guess we all have, of where to put our attention, where to put our energy. And when you started talking about Facebook there, I had to think, one of the reasons I don't put much attention on Facebook is the audience on Facebook is getting older and older and older, and I'm more interested in a more diverse audience than the first or maybe second gen, maybe third gen, depending how you want to look at it. Third gen of internet. What are we on now? Probably the 7th or 8th generation of internet, and we've got people that grew up on the internet. This is like essentially MySpace, or what AOL, right? What a lot of people who are old would think of AOL. That's like that's like Facebook, right? So just like I don't put much effort on the AOL, I kind of quit with the Facebook. But anyway, someone make that as a topic for a future, like which platforms. That'll help me remember to put it in.
Yeah, because I mean, it's really rough to put the time in. I mean, it's not like reels are high effort, but it takes time. Depends on what I do to pick out what I'm going to use, because a lot of my stuff is some of the more popular tweets I've had. To put the tweet down and to expand on the tweet, I don't even know if people read it, but to expand on the tweet to at least a paragraph, hashtag it up, pick music for it, tag everybody, and put it out. That is not a 5 minute thing. That is not like taking a picture of my sandwich and go, hey, eat at Joe's. The sandwich is great. And then when you put it out there and you see it gets attention, you see over 3,000 or 4,000 plays. And then you're telling, and you see like 25, 30 profile visits. Like people went to check out my website from just this post alone. And you see it's been saved 20 times to other people's pages. And you tell me I didn't pick up one? You're telling me I didn't pick up one follower based on that? That just doesn't seem like it makes any sense. Because I've been noticing when I'm going on some people's posts lately, especially if it's like a positive thing, I can't even like hit a heart to like it. It won't allow me to like the post. So I'm like, I wonder is that happening with me or with the gun content if you're doing like a scroll through reels? Like if somebody stumbles upon me, can they not like my post?
I have encountered that kind of stuff on my computer, but not so much on my phone. But I don't. I guess. I don't know. Maybe it's just, I don't know. I haven't experienced that one yet. I don't. I only like on the one account though, like on my because I do the show on Wednesdays, so I use that account to like. My other accounts, I'm mostly scrolling like just dumb food stuff and things like, maybe somebody's using duct tape in an interesting way. I don't bother to because those are posts that are kind of engineered to be viral. They're hitting my feed because they're interesting and they're clever or something. Like there's some reason I like them, but I don't need to encourage that, so I don't usually interact. I figure the logarithm or whatever, it's looking over our shoulder, and if it sees me pause like while I'm watching. Like there was a thing about a hammer, the really fancy, expensive hammers that roofers and stuff will use. And so they were kind of explaining like, if you're hammering all day long, then a $50 hammer makes sense. Like there's reasons there's a $50 hammer. You can make fun of it all you want, but you don't hammer all day long. So, so I was watching that. And that's the kind of stuff I watch on the one Instagram account. So what am I going to like that? It's already been like 3,000 whatever times. Like that person doesn't need encouragement. They built it to create engagement or whatever. If you scroll down, it probably is to either sell the hammer or something, right? So really, I'm just assuming that the logarithm is going to go, oh, okay, he spent 23 seconds on that video instead of the moment he spent scrolling past all the other stuff that he doesn't watch. Now, the one thing I will do is if it shows me something I hate, let's just say 9mm, I'll make sure I say, don't like this. Don't show me this anymore. Because otherwise, if you don't, it'll show you more because it's trying to probe what you want. So I do snip it once in a while. I just don't want to be completely, I could run it differently. But anyway, without getting too much on a tangent there. I hear you. I'm going to try to wrap it up. I think Shifar's going to jump in, so I'm going to we'll cut it. Let's make it short and make it just 3 hours this week. How about that? Thanks for in a good chunk of your weekend with us, and with for Tony for spending it with everybody. Nobody's getting paid here, so if you want to jump over to diversityshoot.com and go to that PayPal link right there. Drop Tony a couple of bucks for the year. That's awesome. If you drop him $60, that's like essentially giving him $5 a month. $120 is $10 a month, and that's a little something you can put in the pocket. If 1,000 people did that? If 1/4 of the people that are listening to this show right now, only 1,000 of you did that right now, Tony would be like this.
There'd be some life choices. There'd be some life changes made.
We talked a bit when I was looking at the thing. I'm going back and looking at some of the comments, Mike White, way earlier in the show. We were going through and look at the Firearms events. What I did add this year, since I just wasn't paying attention or I didn't realize I could do this, is I added a page for the new gun laws that are starting in 2024. There are a bunch of them. I made a little graphic already. I guess I haven't posted it here. I think it's on Instagram already. But essentially, it is a massive list in California. Look at that rain of bullshit stuff. That's all anti-gun stuff in California. It all takes effect on the 1st. Illinois, their assault weapons ban and ban on 50 calibers and some other stuff that's already illegal starts on the 1st. Minnesota is going to have red flag confiscation orders on the 1st. Tennessee is the opposite. Tennessee is going to give everybody who takes a CCW class $100.
Nice.
So that's a gun law, right? But it's a good one, I guess. I don't really like the idea of the state wasting people's money on stuff, but
Nope.
yeah, it's kind of, at least it goes the other way, and they wanted it, so it's their money. Washington, though, 10-day waiting period. How messed up is that? And then Michigan, universal background check. So we've got, and those, Washington goes to effect on the 1st. Rick Ector's been all over the internet because Michigan's doesn't go into effect until Valentine's Day. So you can check out Rick on all kinds of shows doing it right, talking about that bullshit that's going to start in February. So these are specific efforts that we can be upset about and work to. Oh, I guess I have not been. Sorry, I should have been sharing the screen. I've been looking at the screen like if I was doing all this. But this is over on the calendars. I put this as a list over here. So I'll put a link to it in the side chat here for people that want to check it out. But again, it's something new I added this year. So when Mike was talking about the 11% tax on guns, like literally that is just the first of this rain of bullshit that's happening in California this year. Tons of them. So I do feel sorry for California. And that's, again, something that we have the soapbox and we have pressure. California feeds a lot of us. That means that we eat a lot of their stuff. We don't have to. We're capitalists. Like, there's pressure we can put on the state. I don't mean to be mean to their farmers. I'm just using that as a general example. You could be mean to their video game designers. Like, there's ways that we can show California that we have influence as consumers of whatever it is they provide. Because they're big, it means that they're big for a reason, right? We can use those angles. 500 asks, what happened to the G36? I have no idea what happened to the G36. I know
What do you mean?
I don't know what that means. Is that the, like, German rifle? Or is it
The German rifle? Well, time passed it by.
Yeah, exactly.
That's what we're talking about.
Heavy, and it's a caliber that nobody likes to carry around. The Glock, I don't know which one is the G36.
Yeah, now I have to get my Glock decoder ring. Let me see.
That's a valid point, that valid gripe people have about them, is that their nomenclature or whatever. It's a 45.
Okay.
I like it already.
It's a 45
subcompact.
It's a smaller one, subcompact. Well, shoot, that tells you right now.
It's too small. Everybody didn't like the single stack, probably. Actually, I know somebody that carried one of these. I don't know if they still do, but they liked that it was a single stack 45. I carry a Glock 45 ACP. I like 45 ACP. I'm not a baby. I don't have to be coddled with my caliber. I don't need a comfortable caliber. I like calibers that end world wars, but I don't need a tiny little Glock. But I do know somebody that has. I just don't remember. This is the one that has the fat slide and row body. Nobody. Yours came out with a different one. It's probably the different one.
Because they had the Glock 30, which was the double stack, but that still only gave you
like 10 rounds.
7. I don't even think it was 10 rounds.
Oh, it's little? Okay. So I don't know. Yeah.
Yeah, so.
This has.
Go ahead.
Oh, no. I'm breaking up. Go ahead.
Glock 30 gave you 10 rounds. Okay, my bad. Magazine capacity 10 rounds. Yeah. So this is a thin Glock. I don't know what's the width on that Glock 36, but there's not a lot of gun to hold on to. That to me might be an issue. I just fired, or let me check it out, because I was went to the range with a friend of mine, and he had the Scandium Frame Smith & Wesson 1911 and 45 ACP, the short one. with a 4.25 inch barrel, and it was supposedly according 28 ounces. No, 20, yeah, 28 ounces. I found it was fine to shoot. Somebody else was like, "Oh my God, they're lightweight and with a 45 ACP," and I thought it was perfect. Well, this particular Glock 36 weighs 22 ounces. I don't think that's too small. My only question would be the thinness of it. Would it, be painful for the web of my hand? Because with the, your nerves right there in the web of your finger.
Mhm. It's like catching
And
you or something, or a lead pipe.
yeah, because when I shot the skinny 9 millimeter Glock, it was actually painful because of the way it interacted with the web of my hand. But when I shot the Glock 26, which is the double stack version, same darn pistol, same darn caliber, same barrel length, it it meant nothing. It was okay. It wasn't a pain in the butt. It didn't hurt. Pain in the hand, not butt. It's pain in the butt. You're shooting it wrong. But it was easily done. But this is thinner. It's 45. I totally understand why you'd want to carry it. Um, I'd check it out. But 45 ACP is not popular with most people because they've been told by the industry for about 30 years that 9 millimeter is where it's at. And they bought into it. Well, it was 40 for a while, but then everybody went, "Ooh, 40 snaps too much." And I just find it really funny that we're a nation of people that act as if we come from this big bore background. But in real life, pretty much for the last 100 years, we fired 38 special.
Yeah, we come from 38, and then we went a little bit higher, and then we went right back down to 9. So
Yeah.
but that's all.
Really.
Honestly, that's all it normally takes, because most of the time brandishing is all it takes. But that's getting into topics. We're getting in trouble.
Yeah. We're about to go on hour number 4.
Whoa, we don't understand time. It's good. Time is we appreciate the time differently when we're old timers. So She Fires dropped a $20 super chat. Thank you very much. And anytime somebody drops a super chat, we feed this little animal. So we'll end the show. I am going to put a commercial up for that Foss made us to talk about the Gear website store. Every order from the Gear website store for the rest of the year is in the running for a Civivi knife. So if you're interested in getting a Civivi knife, there's only like 5 orders that are in right now. This is the orders in December. Hold on, where's my happened to my mouse? It's way over in the wrong screen. So let me get rid of this, bring this guy up, and then this is from She Fires. There's $10 and then a $20 super chat. Thank you very much. But anybody that wants to grab something from our Gear website store through the rest of the year, which you still have a day or something, then you're going to get in the running for a Civivi knife. I'll probably do a separate show. I will do a separate show just to chat about that. But yeah, we'll end this one here and say thanks everybody for a great 2023. I personally had a great year. Our Patreons made it possible for me to comfortably keep everything online, which I guarantee you it's never been. There's a couple of times over the 20 something years we've been doing this where it hasn't been easy financially or whatever to keep it all going. But the support of the friends and people out there that appreciate what we're doing, like, kept us going. This year was, like I said, I'd have to actually think about it. If this was the worst, it was certainly very close to being the worst of years as far as financially and just whether or not it's worth doing this. We had some stuff that we were working on and it was kind of fell apart and it was frustrating. But there was some very, very financially tough times this year. And then thanks to everyone, we were able to keep the websites and all the projects up and running through that time. And now I've paid off all but just a couple of $1,000s of debt. So all my debt that I got into buying the van, I bought the van on credit, thinking that was a great idea, on a loan essentially, and then immediately dropped the transmission. So whatever it was, a $4,000 van immediately cost $7,000 with the new transmission in it. And then I started to travel and just started piling onto credit cards. So I was able to eat that down this year by not focusing on gun stuff. Unfortunately, it would be great to be able to make that money in the gun realm, but I don't know how to do that. So by focusing on other types of stuff, been able to do that. So this has been a great year financially. And again, the supporters over on Patreon, the subscribers to what we do, made it possible to keep all the stuff, period, like just to keep it online, which it would not have been possible to do without their assistance. So this year, going into 2024, we're going to be able to start working again and working on some of the projects, the greater projects we've got, starting with this calendar we just spent the last 3 hours talking about. I'll shut up. We're going to have a commercial at the end, which I'll wrap up with. Now, Tony, please take as much time as you want, and we'll talk about what you've got coming up for 24, whatever you might want to say for 23 for our group here.
Nope, 24, I laid out my plans already. We're going to shop, going to Ambassador Academy, going to train and learn with Kevin Dixie. We're going to need a lot of financing. So I'm going to have giveaways. I have a really cool knife and some SHOT Show swag I'm going to put together in a packet and announce tomorrow. And that's going to be the first giveaway of 2024. I have a, what do you call it, stock? The brace. I got a brace giveaway that I can do. And I'm just putting more stuff together so we can have a continuous stream of income coming in from raffles and swag to motivate people to keep donating to us. That's what's on the plate for 2024. We're going to be in more places. We're going to do more things. We're going to put out more shows. Bigger, better 2024. And I'm going to be a guest on as many shows as possible, just like I have been, because it's important, one, to give other people, because we're all in the same thing. We have, guests. Try to be a good guest on other people's show and make it entertaining, and also spread the word of what we do. So that's what I'm doing. Thank you for having me on this show. Thanks to all the guys in the chats. Really appreciate it. Good to see you guys out there. And I'll be seeing some of you guys at SHOT.
Captain, a vessel approaching.
On screen.
We're being hailed.
Every weekend over at gearwebsites.com, our online store, we have free Patch Friday. And that means that every order placed on our store on Fridays is going to include at least one free patch. So that's every order with no coupons, no minimum order, no codes needed. You place the order on Friday, and when it arrives to you, it's going to have at least one free patch. Your support means a lot to us, and financial support is critical. So thanks again to the people who keep us online through purchases at gearwebsites.com.